What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 10WI, Chapter 211 Together. Of course I have such a feeling, and I am inherently kind, does it need to be said? You don't need to talk nonsense anymore. I am a very kind person. If I am not kind, why would you do such a thing? Do you feel that all of this has nothing to do with you? Funny, I really don't know what to say to you. There are some things that I really don't know how to say, but now that each of them has paid a heavy price, what else can they say? You don't need to say any more, because I understand very well what you want to say in my heart. Now each of us should attack together, and you have to bear it. I have endured it a long time ago, what can I not bear? These things they have to do, I can do whatever I want. 797. Having said that, when it really happened, a big change had already taken place. A group of people rushed forward, just like Zhang Yang invaded them, but they didn't expect this to happen again. You guys are really funny. Did you forget that Zhang Yang invaded your territory, but you turned back and beat him back? It's so funny. Lord were he sometimes really couldn't understand what leader Lan Tuoxiong was thinking, how could he have such a weird idea? Okay, you don't need to say any more, this incident is simply a joke here, it is impossible for me to wave out the territory, unless I die here. If he is really willing to die, why can't he help others? If you really want to, then I won't stop you, don't forget that all of this is your own choice, what can I say? He nodded himself and didn't speak, because this was the most important thing they did. When their territory increases, their strength will gradually become stronger, and no one will be able to easily bully them. But one thing Lan Tuoxiong had to admit was that the organization in the plot was indeed very powerful. If it wasn't for holding the Dark Emperor in his hand, he would have been hurt by them long ago. But at this moment, this woman actually took out a weapon that she had never thought of before, that is the Black Widow. How could you have such a weapon? Let me tell you, you don't have to think that I can bully me without seeing you. It's impossible, I've heard of this thing before. Hearing what he said, Lord were he nodded. It has been a long time since he owned this weapon. I never thought of treating you in this way, but if you come here to provoke me today, there is nothing I can do. When he heard what they said, Lord were he smiled disdainfully. This person simply likes to be funny, and he likes to make jokes. Do you think that the reason why I do such a thing is because you and I met before, so I do this? Leader Lan Tuoxiong shook his head, he really likes this place, otherwise he would not be able to lead a group of people here. Okay. You don't need to say any more, the reason why I do these things is not because of other things, but simply because I like this place, if you think about it so much, I can't help it. A group of people and people of one race all rushed in, even though there are many organs here, so what? Team leader Lan Tuoxiong had already activated the protection mode for all members from the very beginning, and no one could hurt them. The group of people around me. But they forgot a very important thing, that is, Lord were he will use the related skills of Black Widow. You must know that the skill of Black Widow is very poisonous and ruthless. If you use it on yourself, the consequences will be very serious, and sometimes, it will even cause you to die in this life. Every time I talk about this, I can feel very helpless. Now they were finally able to refute back, but they didn't expect to get stuck here. Aren't you a group of people doing such things to get our attention? I think you must think too much, because not only do we not value you, but we feel that you are all to blame for all this. You should understand what I mean, I also hope that you can do it, no matter what you do in the future, I hope you can understand one thing, that is, you have to pay a price for everything you do. When they heard this woman say this, they hadn't reacted yet, but found that this woman rose into the air in an instant, as if she had done a very great thing. Lord were he, I warn you not to mess around, don't forget our agreement. Lord were he has long forgotten some of the previous things, since Lan Tuoxiong's occupation, he seems to be a different person, not afraid of anything. Lord were he gritted his teeth, and said to team leader Lan Tuoxiong very angrily, what right do you have to say such things to me? If it weren't for you coming to hurt me, I would have let you go, but now I can't forgive you anymore. From now on, the two of us are enemies, don't you want to occupy my territory? Then you can attack now. He smiled, but didn't speak. After all, such a thing is still very serious. How can they change it? It is impossible to think about it, and there is no way to change it. Such a thing, to be honest, is still very powerful. I didn't expect you people to be so powerful. From today on, I will make you pay the price of your life to do other things. Quote. He shook his head, even if there was such a price, as long as they could do anything, none of them would be afraid. Since they planned to attack, they had already thought of paying their lives. You are thinking too simply. Since we plan to come here, we have already thought of paying the price of our lives. We will help you accomplish whatever you want to do. I smiled and didn't speak. After all, such a thing is not very serious. Can only wait silently. You don't need to say any more, there is no way to change this matter, we can only stick to it. Everyone laughed when they said that. What's the use of thinking so much? All they have to do now is rehabilitate. Let anyone know that Lord Erho is also a very powerful race. Chapter 212, no results. Although I don't know what your real goal is, but I am still very happy in my heart. Instead of saying so many useless words, it is better to stop here. Okay, all of this can be over. No matter how strong you are no match for our thousands of troops. No matter how cowardly you are You are not as good as me alone. Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong said this, and then asked Lord Were he to seize his position and get out of the way so as not to waste each other's time here. In fact, the outcome is already very obvious, and it is useless to continue the stalemate at this time. You don't need to say these words anymore. It's not important to you and me. I just want to tell you that if you do this again, it will waste a lot of time. If you can understand, you should hurry up. I laughed. All this is really not very important to me. If it continues like this, I have no way to change it. I can only persist like this. 07 thought about it and then nodded, not wanting him to say anything else. If you think you can be happy if you continue like this, or you can be brave, I have nothing to say, but if not, I hope you will hurry up and give us this place, so as not to waste each other's time. I shook my head. There is really no need to waste each other's time, because they are very busy. What's the use of wasting so much time here? Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong's words are absolute, and he also hopes that they can understand what they think in their hearts, and stop talking so much. There is nothing to say. I really don't know what each of you is thinking, but this matter is done. I'm afraid it's impossible for you to take anything away from me. If you can understand what I mean, hurry up and leave. Lord Were he laughed when he heard Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong say that, so he had already been sentenced to death before he made any decision. It's also really hilarious. Okay, you don't need to say any more. I never thought that a man would be so decisive. Do you think these decisions you made are very important to me? Let me tell you that this is impossible. Some things, you make these decisions are of no use to me. When I heard what they said, I laughed out loud. What's the use of saying so much? The most important thing for them now is to invade this place. We don't need to talk so much nonsense here. I just need to occupy this place, and the rest is not important. Hearing what the other party said, I nodded obediently, and couldn't say anything else, because it was useless to talk too much. Can only wait silently. Seeing them taking the initiative to attack here, I laughed out loud. If I want to take the initiative to attack myself, I am afraid that it is impossible to practice for a long time. If you still want to do this, then I have no choice, because this is your last choice, and this is also the choice of your race. It has nothing to do with me. I just hope you can understand that doing any of these things think about the consequences beforehand. Of course they understand, otherwise they would not be able to come to this place to invade. Don't worry, we've been thinking about this for a long time. If we didn't think it through, we wouldn't be able to come here. Can you understand what we mean? If you can understand, stop talking so much nonsense. Everyone nodded. Of course they understood, but they didn't know what to say. Okay, at this point, each of us's role can end. You can talk about it later. From now on our mutual feelings will be wiped out. When they heard what they said, everyone nodded, but they want to occupy their own territory, which is impossible, just like a dream. If you want to occupy this place, it's impossible, because I have my own ideas, and I also have my own strengths. If you continue to do this, it will only make me dislike you even more. I nodded myself. Of course I understand what you are thinking, but so what? Because my own thoughts have nothing to do with him. You can go about your business again, but it has nothing to do with me. You should know what I mean. Hearing what he said, he nodded himself. To be honest, I have a lot of thoughts in my heart, but Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong did too much. Although they said they had a treaty, they couldn't be hurt like this. What's the matter? You can ask me to solve it in private, but it's too much for you to say it so clearly. You clearly know that we also have a treaty. You can't violate the territory of the same race, but you offended us. How should this matter be calculated? Although they said so, they couldn't say too much, because if they said too much, it would cause unnecessary trouble. Thinking about it this way, they still refused, and they will talk about it later when they have a chance. Although that's what I said, but there are many things that cannot be solved by me. When I heard what he said, I nodded obediently, but there are still many things that I can't change. I really didn't expect that one day you would do such a thing. From now on, whatever you want to do has nothing to do with me, you should understand. Hearing what he said, he nodded himself. It is useless to say more, it is better not to say anything. I don't want to take care of your tasks anymore. From now on, you can come over if you want to invade, but I won't say whether you can go back alive. You will definitely not be able to step in these organs, and your lives will be wasted in here. Please don't say that I didn't make it clear to you. When he heard what they said, he nodded himself. Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong knew very well in his heart that what he said was actually very hateful. It's too much for you to say that. You don't care about what we do. I warn you, if there is a time when you don't do anything like us, then you have nothing to do with me now. It matters. After Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong said these words, he immediately planned to leave here, regardless of what Lord Erho wanted to do, because it might be impossible for them to attack forcefully now. You also know that it is impossible for you to attack again at this time, so hurry up and get out of here and leave a space for each other. Hearing what each other said, he nodded obediently. Chapter 213 Nothing to say. It's useless to say so much, it's better not to say anything. Today's battle ends here, we will come again tomorrow, I hope you will be ready by then. Then he said that and left here with a group of people. If he continued to stay, it would definitely not be the most suitable. It would be better to leave first and talk about it later. But there are some things they think about like this, and there is no need to say so much. It's just that I have figured out the details of Lord Werhe this time. No one thought that he would use the skill of Black Widow. To be honest, I was really surprised, because I never thought that this man would be so powerful. But this is also normal, I really didn't think about their true abilities before, and now it seems that I really thought too simple before. In the future, we need to reshuffle the cards carefully, so that no one can think clearly. After taking away their thoughts this time, they need to practice hard and wait for the next time to attack. But I didn't expect that it was not the Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong who attacked this time but the Lord Erho. Lord Wer he found out that Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong had left, and immediately held an emergency meeting to discuss with the people around him how to punish them next. They cannot let this group of people do it right away. These things. When they thought about it, they shook their heads in a hurry, not knowing what to say. This time is still very important to each of them. You guys are really too much. Last time we invaded our place, then this time we will definitely fight back. After saying this sentence, he went on to do other things. When he found that Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong and his group were powerless, he couldn't help laughing. He really didn't expect them to be so fragile. Is it all because of us? Then he shook his head when he said that, because they were all to blame for this. Don't worry, all this has nothing to do with you, because what you want to do has nothing to do with me. Instead of doing this, it's better to let everyone do what everyone should do. Having said that, they can't change other ideas, they can only continue to stick to this idea, only in this way will the goal in their hearts be more difficult. I don't know what method should be used to do these things, but each of them should be more determined. Although I don't know what your Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong thinks, but let me tell you, if you don't take the initiative to hurt us and occupy our territory, then we won't use such skills to come and hurt you, and you will be responsible for all of this, don't blame us for messing around. When I heard what they said, I nodded, but I didn't say anything else, because it's useless to talk too much, it's better to use my own skills directly. You guys are really funny now. I don't care what you guys are going to do next, I just hope you can understand in your heart that many things cannot be done just by saying something. When I heard them say that, I felt a sense of it. Although the matter is such a thing, it may be very difficult for them to change at this time. Stop talking, there are many things we need to change in the future, but not now. I hope you can understand that the only thing you can do now is to roll up your sleeves and compete with us. If you don't want to compete with us, then I have no other way. When they said that to each other, Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong led his entire family and rushed up quickly. He managed to occupy this place and saved it with great difficulty. How could Lord Erho come over and kick him out? Don't push yourself too hard. This matter is not as complicated as you think. If you continue like this, believe it or not, I will really make you feel overwhelmed. This place belongs to us, and we learned it with great difficulty. So what are you going to do? When Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong said this, Lord Wer he smiled, what are you doing, does it have anything to do with him? You don't need to say these useless words anymore. The reason why you do these things is because you don't have much relationship with me. I will warn you one last time and hurry up to apologize to me. You want to occupy our race, this is impossible, and it is even more impossible for you to invade my treasure. There are many valuable things on Lord Wer he's body, but Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong has not found them now, nor has he found them. It is precisely because of this that it is constantly changing. It's like changing the plan now, but finding it inappropriate. They want to invade Lord Wer he's territory, but find it difficult to attack. It is precisely because of this that he has established a very strong enemy. I really didn't expect that such a thing would happen to all of you. From now on, anything you do has nothing to do with me. I hope you can understand. I nodded myself, of course I understand, if I don't understand, how could I do such a thing? All of this has already become a reality. You don't need to say it anymore. It's useless to say too much, because everyone has different ideas, so the result will be different. When he heard what they said, Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong nodded. Although he didn't know what this man was thinking, he knew very well in his heart that this woman might not forgive him. Lord Wer he, I think we need to talk about many things. If you really can't forgive, we can't do it, but I hope you, Wang Dezhao, can understand that there are many things that we have to do. Play like this, but they can't change it. Because this person hurt himself first, if he didn't take the initiative to hurt himself, what happened today would not have happened. If you don't bring people over to hurt us, we won't be able to come back and fight back. As long as people like us are hurt by others, they will definitely pay a lot of price. You should understand very well. Of course they understand, but so what? Lord Wer he, I advise you to calm down. The current Lord Wer he seems to have lost his mind. You don't need to persuade me. I am very rational now. We have discussed it for a long time before making it. This decision turns out to be your enemy. You must pay the price you deserve. Hearing what they said, he nodded. Chapter 214 Lord. Since you have already thought of such a method, I have nothing to say. It's scary for the two races to explode tactics, but no matter what, they all choose to do this way to get in touch with each other's lives. Thinking about it this way is still very funny in everyone's heart. Although there are many times when each of them thinks differently, but now each of them will stick to their thoughts even more. Because they all know what kind of method you should use to persist in these things, and what kind of life attitude you should use to treat each other's lives. It's the same reason that Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong chose to attack them. Since Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong has chosen such a way to become an enemy with himself, there must be a way. The skill, Black Widow, in my hand was not used in vain. Once they use it, they really don't know what way to do it, and they don't know if they can choose. I really don't know why you do it in this way, but I know very well in my heart that no matter what you do in the future, you should understand one very important thing. That is, since you choose the beginning, even if it is someone else. Tell me 347, you should be happy too. Having said that, each of them has something on their minds. Talk too much and waste their living space. It's better not to say anything, so that their life will become more enjoyable. To be honest, I really didn't expect that each of you would give me such a big blow. Now we hurry up and start your territory, and we have been eyeing it for a long time. Hearing what Lord Were he said, Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong smiled. He took out his earth-slashing sword. Although this weapon is not particularly powerful, it is normal to protect their Lanto clan. Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong smiled and said to him, "You want to come here and hurt us, it's like a dream, you don't have to think about it anymore, because it is impossible for everyone to have the thoughts in everyone's heart, just like it's what I want to do now, and it has nothing to do with you." He nodded himself, but didn't speak. Lord Were he knew exactly what he wanted to express. Okay, don't talk anymore, this matter ends here. Hearing what he said, he nodded himself. But I didn't say anything else. Now they only need to use strength to speak, other things are not particularly important, national strength can explain everything. I really didn't expect you to become so insolent one day. I can tell you all of this now. No matter what you do in the future, you must pay the price. Even if you think there is no price, you must pay the price. Find a way. Hearing what Lord Were he said, but before Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong could react, he found that this woman had already started to attack, and the attacking force was very fierce. I really don't know what to do, it's really scary, what do these people want to do? Is it really to take their own territory for themselves? You don't have to go too far, these things are not yours at all, even if you think about it, it is impossible. Lord Were he smiled, and led his entire race to rush down, because the protective facilities here are not yet ready, and it is actually very easy to occupy them. Don't think that what you are doing now has little to do with me. Let me tell you that it is impossible. As long as I want to occupy anything, I can do it. Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong continued to defend, but found that it was too late. The Dark Emperor, in his hand, seemed not to listen to his own truth. It was very frightening, such a situation had never happened before, and I didn't know what to do for a while. What are you going to do? Let me tell you, AHBF, all this has become a reality. It is impossible for you to change it. It is also impossible for you to occupy our race. You hurry up and get out of here. When I heard him say that, I laughed. It is not easy to become what it is today. Lord Were he took advantage of this opportunity to quickly attack, and no matter what they were going to do next, he must make them look good. Maybe you feel that you are very powerful now, then next, I will let you know what is called a real strong Yamato attack, only today I will make you regret it. Hearing what the other party said, he nodded. After all, such a thing is very helpless to be honest. But now that things have developed into what they are today, they have no way to change or choose. It's useless to think so much, it's better to leave directly. Today, this territory must belong to us and become my name. Don't think that you are very powerful. We will know if we compete with each other. When I heard him say that, I laughed. Whether it is the result of this appearance has nothing to do with me. You don't need to say any more. What you are doing now is not of much use to me. If you can win, then everything else is easy to talk about. But if you can't win, hurry up and leave. When I heard him say that, I smiled, but to be honest, I was still very helpless. Hearing what he said, he shook his head. If you feel all of this is okay, then I have nothing to say, but if you think it's not, then please hurry up and leave and don't waste each other's time. Hearing what he said, he laughed and nodded. You are really a very strange person. Let me tell you, I can't let go of the blame for everything today. You have to pay the price of possession. Only in this way can I let you understand what is truly terrible. Hearing him say this, I laughed. It was like dreaming here. No one can change my ability, and no one else can understand it. Only in this way can I hide all my true abilities. Let me tell you, do you think this is over? It's impossible. As long as I'm here, it's impossible for you to end it. Hearing Lord Were he say this, he shook his head. It seems that he really shouldn't have chosen that address at that time. There is no way to regret it. You don't need to warn us here. Let me tell you one last time, all of this is the choice of each of us. It is useless for you to say so much, and I hope you can understand and pay the price. Chapter 215 Take the first step. I really don't know what price I have to pay. Lord Were he's words are really funny. I'm going first. Lord Were he said that the quick attack was not to leave, but to take the initiative to attack and make them all regret it. Hearing them say such things, my family members laughed out of nowhere. It was really funny. Since someone would say such a thing, how could it be possible for me to be let go by others when I finally achieved today's achievement with great difficulty? Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong, I warn you, no matter what you will do in the future, it has nothing to do with me now. At least I am very happy now. If you think you can surpass me in the future, then you can continue, but if you feel that you can't surpass me, then don't say these words. Hearing him say this, the language of this warning is already very obvious. Although I can feel that there is a reason for him to say these words, no matter what, it is really hard for me to be able to achieve this level today. Although I don't know what your purpose is, whether you want to invade our territory, if so, you can attack. Because of my limited ability, I can't say anything else about other things. Thinking about it is still very helpless. There are many things, once a decision is made, there is no way to change it, and once it is changed, there is no way to decide. When thinking about this, I smiled to myself. Anyway, All this is still very helpless. Thinking about it now, I almost want to say to everyone present, if we let you go today, then everything will change, but if we don't let you go, it's your fault. Lord were he actually thought about it for a long time when he said this. Although they are also exploiters, they are not very powerful. Sometimes it takes effort. Every time they consider this achievement, they have to pay a heavy price. Lord were he didn't speak anymore this time, and rushed down with weapons. Although they will pay a lot, no one can change everything that will happen this time. Although I don't know why you guys do such a thing, I know very well in my heart that if you don't do it at this time, then I will kill you now, and I am willing. Lord were he said so, and then rushed down, when the Black Widow in his hand was quickly used. To be honest, using this skill by yourself is still very painful. I didn't feel it at all. Every time I use this skill, my force value also drops here, which means that when I hurt others, I will also hurt myself. It's just that many times, I didn't talk about these things at all. But don't know where to start. It's like now that I have clearly used Black Widow. But the other party was not afraid at all, and even laughed at himself here. That being the case, why do I have any hesitation? This was all taken by Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong on his own initiative. Of course I want to let him go around, all this is his own fault. Brothers, we were oppressed by this race before and now we are ordinary. Don't let us regret it, okay? Everyone. Hearing what they said, everyone nodded. To be honest, none of this came easily, and they must work hard now. You guys are really great. Knowing that when the other party said this, he nodded but did not say anything else. All this is indeed their own fault, or their own thoughts. They have to change a lot of things. If they don't change at this time, then there is no way to choose. Thinking like this makes me more determined in my heart. No matter what will happen in the future, they all understand what is going on now, just stick to it. Lord were he didn't say any more nonsense, but rushed down directly, carrying the weapon in his hand. This thing must be protected. Weapons are really important to them and must be well protected. It's useless to say anything. If this thing is not well protected, it may cause great harm. When thinking like this, he immediately said to Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong, you must think clearly now, what we are going to do next. You should be very clear, you should hurry up and get this place out. You didn't set up protection yellow. If I attack the wounded at this time, it's you. 0. Seeking flowers. Although that is the case, how could he possibly achieve this level? You don't need to say any more. Even if we die here, it is impossible to give this place to you. They started to fight immediately. To be honest, no one thought that the Black Widow's force value was so powerful. When they first fought, no one thought about it, or even knew what the result would be. But Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong rushed forward without hesitation, because this time was crucial, and it was impossible for them to change it. Every time I think of this, I feel very courageous. What's the use of thinking so much? They have no way to change now. Only by constantly making progress can we increase. As long as I was thinking about it, I said to him very seriously, the reason why I came to rob your territory is to let you feel that when you robbed me, what was in my heart. You want to protect your people. I can understand, but you can't build on other people's pain. That is to say, but how could they have such a situation now? I don't understand what you are thinking, but I know that if you want to come and hurt me, you can do it, because I care about you very much. At this time, Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong can only use this sentence to divert his attention. After all, such feelings are hard won. I hope this person will not invade his territory. His people are living in great pain here. You should also understand that these people are still very important. It is not easy for us to become a race. They are really recent, and he has worked so hard to get to where he is today. It's not easy to say, that's for sure. You don't need to say it. I really didn't expect you to say such a thing. What's wrong with you? It's all your own fault. No one knows what they did, but everyone understands that all this is their own choice. What is there to regret? Chapter 216 Nothing. If you really regret it, it is impossible for you to say such a thing. At that time, you invaded other people's territory, why didn't you say it, but now you think it is very correct in reverse. They are a group of people who like to make trouble for no reason. No one knows what will happen, but what they have to do now is to be more persistent, only in this way can they fulfill their thoughts. I don't know what you guys are going to do next, but here we go. I still remember that Zhang Yang used the Black Emperor to attack very violently before, but now there has been a big change. They no longer take the initiative to attack, but choose to defend. Maybe the defense will not do well, only in this way can they do what they want to do, but sometimes these things are not so simple to do. No matter what happens in the future, they must persist now. Xiao Xiao is still very helpless. To be honest, he will waste a lot of time and youth if he goes on this road. But they all have to change, because there is no direction to speak of, let alone retreat. Every time they think like this, they will be very happy and sweet, no matter what will happen in the future, at least they are happy now. Just thinking about it like this makes me feel very exciting. This kind of thing never happened before, but it finally happened today. I can also feel what it means to be truly powerful. Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong had never seen such a formation. To be honest, I was a little flustered. It has never been like this before. Is it true that because of a wrong demonstration, I will regret it for the rest of my life? In fact, I really wanted to find a result to change, but then I thought it was impossible, so I thought of another method. But there is no way, but they must change now. No one wants such a thing to happen, including Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong. Because there are many times, if such thoughts really happen to me, the consequences will be very serious. Although I don't know what each of you thinks, but there are some things that I must let you know, because there are many things that cannot be made up, just like now. When I heard what he said, I laughed out loud. If this is really the case, then everything is easy to say. I don't know what you're talking about. I can't give up this territory unless I'm killed. If you really kill Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong, if these two sentences can be taken as your own, then it is also possible, because there are still many things they want to do. After all, everyone has different ideas. What's the use of thinking so much? I know what you're talking about. After all, such things are not up to you. After saying this sentence, I immediately went to do another thing. At this time, Lord were he, because he was delaying time with Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong, his million soldiers had already bypassed other places. Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong was not aware of their territory at this time, and he was about to be captured breached. I never thought of hurting you, but you are responsible for all this. You can look back now, your territory has been occupied by us, and our million-strong army has invaded your interior. When he heard what he said, Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong looked back and found that it was all true. This person is really too powerful. Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong, you can get caught now, because this place already belongs to us. When I heard Lord Were he say this, I smiled desolately. I really didn't think that I was smart, although I lost my life to this woman, it was too funny. Why do you do this? I tell you that you are to blame for all this. Why do you say here? I never thought that one day, you would do such a hurtful thing. I just made a mistake. What about you? But you pushed everything on me. I smiled helplessly. This is not the case. You're thinking too much. I've never thought of anything like this. Although I don't know what happened, but now many things have nothing to do with me. Now I can't say anything about all this, it's useless to say more, it's better not to say anything. Thinking this way, he smiled directly. They didn't say anything else, anyway, they wouldn't believe it. Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong was very sad when he saw his territory was lost a little bit. He really didn't expect such a thing to happen one day, and he was really funny. It turned out that all of this was because of myself, so it became what it is today. But so what? I think so much, and there is no way to change it. He smiled quietly and didn't say a word. All this can only be blamed on himself, and nothing else can be blamed. When thinking like this, I laughed, the smile was very desolate. Because I don't know what to say, I might as well just be myself. I never imagined that one day it would become such a powerful thing, but now I can't say anything else. After finishing this sentence, I immediately went to take this place as my own. I never thought that one day it would become like this. But I know very well in my heart that it is impossible to change it. I can only slowly take this place as my own, only in this way can the thoughts in my heart become my reality. All of this is really very funny. I didn't expect that my territory would not be lost, but I would get 3.9 territories. Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong, in fact, you are responsible for all this. When you want to use the Dark Emperor, you must use it in a certain way. I don't know if you can understand when I say that. He nodded himself, although he didn't understand, he still pretended to be ignorant. I don't care if I understand or not, I'll tell you this. There are some things about you that I can't say anymore, because you are your strength, and I have my pride, we two are not on the same line. Hearing you say that, I shook my head and didn't speak anymore, because talking too much will only make people feel disgusted. What's the use of saying this? Things like this are simply helpless. When he heard Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong say this, he smiled. Chapter 217 The Power of the Emperor Slaying Sword. This time, Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong completely lost his homeland, and he didn't know why he came to this remote place. To be honest, they never thought they would miss. I feel very helpless. Boss, what should we do now? Should we just give up at this time? But when his members asked this sentence, they saw a large group of black objects approaching them in the sky. Although they don't know what it is, they know very well that this thing is not a good thing. You don't have to worry so much, let me handle this matter. Hearing what they said, he nodded. I don't know why, but the result is like this. I didn't expect Zhang Yang to come back to life. In fact, Zhang Yang has never died, he just cultivated his abilities in another place, but let them compete for a while, and he is still the king. Long time no see, Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong. Hearing Zhang Yang's disdainful tone, Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong smiled, knowing that he would be ridiculed. I didn't expect you to survive. To be honest, I'm quite surprised. Are you here today to fight for our place? If so, you don't need it, because our place has already been occupied. Of course I know this, and it is precisely because of this that I want to cooperate with Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong. I know your territory has been occupied by others, don't you want to take it back? Are you so weak? Zhang Yang laughed very wildly, I really didn't expect this person to be like this. Did you never know that before I came back, it was just a temporary rest, which made you proud for a while, but I didn't expect that you didn't protect what belongs to you. It's really too contemptuous. He is indeed very humble, and Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong did not expect such a thing to happen one day. What did you come back for? Did you come to see my joke? Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong was very angry, what does this man mean? Zhang Yang laughed very wildly. At this time, he took back the Dark Emperor in his hand. This thing is not suitable for you at all, I gave you a trial period, but you haven't used ultimate, then don't blame me for taking it back. Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong watched the Black Emperor leave his hand again, and at the same time the Zondi sword appeared again. I smiled. I really didn't expect to go back to the original place. Did you expect today? Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong feels that there are some things that need to be asked clearly. Is this person playing with his feelings all the time? You don't have to use the heart of a villain to seize the belly of a gentleman. How could I have such an idea? The reason why I came back is because your place belongs to you or to me, not to that woman. Do you understand? Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong nodded in bewilderment. The Emperor Slaying Sword is still in his hand. Does he want to take it away too? Since that's the case, you can just use your Black Emperor, and it has nothing to do with me. I don't want you to disturb me again. I shook my head. The two didn't have much to do with each other. You think too much. How could I take these away? I just want to let you know what I want to do. As Zhang Yang said, he quickly lit up the Dark Emperor, and the sky appeared in an instant, and the nebula changed suddenly. You have never seen this scene before. Today I will take you to enjoy it for free. Please don't thank me. After all, you have not felt these things. I really didn't expect that this weapon would have such a powerful skill. I have to sigh. The scenery when the galaxy changes suddenly, it is really impossible for people to go back. It's so beautiful. But back to reality, what is the use of such a beautiful scenery? Zhang Yang, are you kidding me? Our mission is to fight for territory to occupy more places, so what are you doing here? Hearing that Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong finally got to the point, he nodded immediately. If you think too much, this matter is very important, and that is psychedelic. To be honest, I have never heard of this skill before. It's just a treasured sword. Why do you have so many strange thoughts? If you've said enough, stop talking, because I don't believe you at all. He laughed out loud when he said that. Zhang Yang had already guessed that this man would not believe him, and explained it very seriously. You really think too much, and think of all this too simply. The reason why psychedelic skills appear is because many people always think that everything is false, so they use this method to confuse you guys, but let me tell you, you will know after a while after reading it. Of course, I don't know what Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong is thinking now. Only seeing these times their eyes were blurred, as if they didn't know what they were doing. Do you think this place is very beautiful and want to buy it? Not long after Zhang Yang asked this question, he nodded. This place is really beautiful. Why there is such a beautiful place, I never knew before. It's so beautiful here. Why didn't I notice it before? Why don't you hurry up and tell me what it means? Only seeing that the sky has changed a color, no one thought that 053 would still have such a terrifying appearance. What does this mean? Why didn't you tell me about this skill before? If you want to occupy it, you can just use this skill to exchange it. Zhang Yang laughed out loud. There are many things beyond Tianyan that this man can't imagine. Your Emperor Zhangjian has a lot that you haven't developed. I advise you to hand it over as soon as possible. Only in this way can it be of greater use. You are just a grassroots. Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong is most unconvinced when others say that about himself. Why do you say that about me? What qualifications do you have for me to warn you that you are no better than me? You have so many abilities now, so hurry up and do your thing well. Hearing him say that, he laughed. You are just joking. I warn you one last time, hurry up and hand over your things, don't let me say it a second time, understand? Hearing the other party say this, I shook my head, it was impossible to say it. Are you dreaming here? Emperor Zhangjian guards our entire family, how could I give it to you? Even if you are dreaming, it is impossible for you to say such wishful thinking. He shook his head, he was simply hopeless. Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong is simply too simple. You think too simply, and your ambitions are too great. Chapter 218 The Secret You Don't Know. Even if they have ambitions, so what? I don't know what you guys are going to say, but I can warn you about my territory. One day, I will try to fight back and have nothing to do with you, Zhang Yang. Hurry up and lead the troops and leave my territory. Hearing what he said, I shook my head. This is not a matter of leading troops to leave or not. Are you kidding me here? You're just kidding me when you say that now. I have to fight for the Zondi sword. Since I can come back today, it proves that I want to do this things, but it has nothing to do with you. I smiled when I heard him say that. What is the use of this person saying these words? This territory no longer belongs to him, and this territory already belongs to Lord Erho. The Lord doesn't know yet. Zhang Yang has already had a big estrangement with Lord Werhe, and he must also take the place of Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong. Don't you always think that you are very powerful? You can go there with me today and meet Lord Erho. As long as you win, then this place belongs to you. Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong nodded, he was already very powerful. But now he doesn't know how to use the Emperor Zhangjian. You still need to use it well. You actually said that you already know how to use this skill in my hand, you should teach me well, teach me so that we can compete fairly. Hearing what this man said, Zhang Yang laughed out loud, and some people around him couldn't help laughing too. Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong was so funny that he asked his enemies to do these things. What you think is really too simple, do you know what the consequences will be if you think so? Although I don't know what the consequences will be, I don't want to care about it now. What you think is too simple, whether a territory belongs to you or not has nothing to do with you. Although that is the case, they have no way to change it. You don't need to talk so much nonsense here. If you can win, stick to it. If you can't win, get out. Zhang Yang was impatient. This man is really messier than a woman, and I don't know how he can survive to this day, and I am very surprised. No matter what you do, you will regret it today. Hearing what he said, Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong felt a little panic in his heart, not knowing what was going to happen. What are you going to do? I only saw the rapid attack of tens of millions of troops, and quickly extinguished the clan of Lan Tuoxiong. Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong didn't expect that their group of people would have such a powerful skill. They hid and dodged quickly. In fact, they don't have much white-collar workers anymore. If they don't dodge at this time, they probably won't have a chance. But no matter what, they have no way to change it now. To be honest, I really didn't expect you to have such an idea. It's simply too hateful. Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong said so, and then he took out the Zondi sword, and aimed it at the sky. But don't know what the outcome will be. I only saw that the Emperor Zon's sword also emitted a dazzling light immediately after. Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong really didn't expect that the weapon in his hand could also have such a skill. Although I don't know what you're going to do next, I can warn you that there are many things that you can't change. Just like the weapon in your hand, it will change its name soon. Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong didn't believe it, because Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong only had this one thing. What are you going to do? This is mine. Hearing what he said, I chose not to believe it. Are you kidding me here? I can't believe it. Even if you have such a powerful ability, so what? Zondi's sword always belongs to me and not to you. Smiling to himself, Zhang Yang didn't expect this person to be so stubborn. Since you have spoken to this extent, I also want to let you know what is truly terrible. While saying this, he waved the Black Emperor in his hand, and a white light appeared in the sky instantly, but this light looked dazzling and dazzling. No one knows where this light comes from, but it is lethal. It seems that last time he really hid his strength, but why? You are obviously stronger than me, why do you hide so much strength? I admit defeat now and you can take away the Emperor Zon's sword. Zhang Yang had no choice but to hear Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong say this. After all, he really didn't know what to say about this matter. Sometimes, these changes happen, and I have no way to change them now. What's the use of talking so much? It's better to do nothing. Zhang Yang smiled. This man is still naive. You don't need to say any more. Don't worry, the Emperor Zonjian is definitely better in my hands than in yours, and I will treat him well. When he knew what he said, he nodded himself. Although he said so, the pace of their occupation was delayed because of this. You don't need to say any more. I really didn't realize that you are this kind of person. When I heard what he said, I nodded, because I was not a good person in the first place. I really don't know what to say to you. You are so stupid. Is such a thing difficult for you? You clearly know what you want to do. Hearing what the other party said, Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong nodded and didn't say anything else. But I was always uncomfortable in my heart. I occupied that area for a long time, but I didn't expect Zhang Yang to forcefully occupy this place this time. When he saw Zhang Yang, Patriarch Yan Tuoxiong knew that he had no way to change it. Although I don't know what you are going to do, I Wang Zhao's understand very well that there are many things that we have no way to change. When I heard him say this, I didn't speak, but I still nodded. It's useless to talk too much, it's better not to say anything. You don't need to say any more. This matter ends here. I will take back this territory for you. Don't worry. Having said that, many things have undergone unprecedented changes. If they want to persevere, they must change the plan. Lord Zhengquan Erho has the Black Widow in his hands. Black Widow is indeed a very powerful thing, and I can't say anything by myself. Zhang Yang had to change his strategy now, or Lord Werhe would definitely kill them. My own arrogance is useless on the side of Lord Werhe. Brothers, now the Zondi sword belongs to us, we must change a strategy now. Chapter 219 Reoccupation. Hearing what the other party said, he nodded. As long as the goal can be achieved, other things are not important. I have nothing to say. Don't worry, that piece of territory must belong to us, as long as we insist on other things, it doesn't matter. After saying these words, he rushed down with a group of people. This matter must be considered in the long run. Okay, we're taking a short break now, and we've gained something today, unlike last time. After Zhang Yang said this sentence, he came to a corner and used his sword firmly. If it wasn't for the Black Emperor today, I might not be able to snatch this thing back, but I don't know what the real practical skill of the Emperor Zon's sword is. Zondi's sword, can you hear my voice? You must know that these weapons are all spiritual. When he recognizes a master, they will definitely obey when they are making related exchanges. But this time Zhang Yang called out many times, but the weapon didn't answer. It seems he hasn't agreed yet, and hasn't acknowledged himself as his man. But fortunately, the time is still long, there will always be time for him to accept himself. Although I don't know why you disagree, but I want to take you to fight for the hegemony of the mall to occupy more territories. Saying this, I began to think about other places. After all, their main purpose is to fight for hegemony and turn the territory into their own, and they will forcefully occupy it all the way. This is their ultimate goal and the meaning of their life. After thinking for a long time, Zhang Yang finally decided to forcibly capture, no matter how powerful Lord Werhe is, as long as he chooses a direction, no one can change it. I've decided now that we're going to attack now. Hearing what Zhang Liang said, Yao Xiaohe, a group of people around him, nodded in agreement. Okay, boss, I will agree with whatever you say, and we will all obey you. Zhang Yang came to the side and wiped the Dark Emperor in his hand. Whether he can succeed today depends on him. Now you are going to prepare for this as a fierce battle, you must prepare well, you can't lose the chain, you should understand the importance of me to this territory. When I heard what they said, I nodded, it was indeed very important. Okay, boss, don't worry Abi, this place is very important to us, no one can give up, do you understand what I mean? All the people at the scene nodded, of course they can understand that this matter is very important to each of them, so everyone must put all their energy into it. Now all men have their weapons ready and we are ready to go. After Zhang Yang said this sentence, he immediately said to all the people on the scene, and everyone started to wave their weapons and prepare to go. At this time, the Lord of Warhe is making arrangements for their defense. To be honest, defense is very important. If the defense is not in place, it is very likely to face loss. But he didn't expect them to be attacked by millions of troops before they were ready. He had never seen such a formation. What are you guys doing Zhang Yang? Take your troops and get out of here quickly, don't think this place can be yours. Zhang Yang laughed out loud when he heard Lord Warhe say this. This woman is really too crazy, I don't know what he thinks, these things are really different from what I think. I really didn't expect you to be so rampant, but since this is the case, I will also let you show what is the power of the Dark Emperor. Hearing this, Wu Erzu smiled, it turned out that Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong did not conscript himself, but Ting Ting. What do you think your bosses haven't done, can you do it? You are simply too arrogant, you don't need to talk about this matter, because your bosses haven't done it yet. It seems that this person misunderstood his relationship with Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong. You think too much, I am not the person next to Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong, but we are rivals, but now we are rivals with you again, to be honest, it is really not easy. Hearing what he said, I seem to understand that this person should be Zhang Yang if nothing unexpected happened. Zhang Yang has invaded many places, and finally invaded some territory. Then I didn't expect that you would still look up to this poor piece of meat. Of course I can see it, after all, if it is developed here, it will still be a good place for them to settle down. You think too much, you are still very good to us, if you think it is useless, you can take the initiative to let us out, then we will be grateful, if possible, we will give you other things. Hearing what the other party said, he nodded his head. It is impossible for Lord Warhe to give up what he got and what he gave up. This is impossible for him. Black Widow has been using it in my own hands for a long time. You think too simply, even if we fight, you are not my opponent, because you have the Black Emperor in your hand, but I also have the Black Widow in my hand. The two of us can at most draw a tie. Zhang Yang nodded, if it was before, he might not have dared to come here, but now he has the Zindi sword in his hand. You think too much, if it was before, I might really not dare to do such a thing, but it is different now, because I have another weapon in my hand. Lord Warhe was shocked, and he didn't know that something was gathered by him again. Emperor Zhangjian, you must have seen it. The existence of the Emperor Slaying Sword is actually to defeat the Black Emperor, but he did not expect that Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong would be so useless that he would give it up. Then the Black Emperor has no opponent. You must know that the skill that the Black Emperor is best at is psychedelic. It is really a very magical power to radiate psychedelic skills. You people are really disgusting. How can you make something like this? I warn you, if you continue like this, you will die. Lord Warhe was very angry, he really didn't expect Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong to be so useless. Not long after a weapon arrived in his hand, he gave it up. Speaking out is simply making others laugh out loud, which is a great shame for a guardian. You don't need to say any more, this matter is of no use to me. Lord Warhe said so, and then used the weapon. Black Widow is as unpredictable as before, and her wings are strong, which is a sign that no one can break. But now he has a very strong opponent, the Dark Emperor. None of them thought that when this skill was used, there would be such a big change. Chapter 220 The Battle of the Peak. I saw Zhang Yang put the Dark Emperor in front of him and chanted the spell silently. The weapon quickly rose into the air, following Lord Warhe like a tracking missile. Lord Warhe was not afraid, and quickly took out the Black Widow and put them behind him, and the two weapons fought in front of them. Such a phenomenon is a spectacle for them. It is rare to see such two weapons that can be equal opponents. Neither Lord Warhe nor Zhang Yang went up, but watched their battle status quietly here. Originally, their two weapons each maintained half their strength, but after about 10 minutes Lord Warhe's Black Widow has already occupied the bottom. The Black Emperor kept going in here, and the Black Widow couldn't hold on. And the Black Emperor also has a very strange skill, that is the skill of psychedelic, which is rare for them. After I saw it, I was also very shocked. How long will it take to cultivate like this? Don't you know that you can't use such a despicable skill? You have two weapons, which is a kind of cheating for us. Why does Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong care so much? As long as you can win, everything else is trivial. You don't have to talk nonsense anymore, we just want to win, other things are not important. After Zhang Yang said this sentence, he waved the Emperor Zhan's sword. Zhandi's sword is fighting against Black Widow. In fact, Zhandi's sword is very powerful, but Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong can't use this skill. When using it now, it feels like a fish in water, very easy and convenient. I really don't know what to say to you now, although you are powerful, what can you do? The things you are going to do now are far insignificant compared to you. I really don't know what Zhang Yang is talking about here. What did he do before? Is it too much for you to say that? I don't even know what I have done. You know best what you have done. What else do I want to say? There is nothing to say. What I usually hate the most is when others speak dumb words to me. If you can't say it, then don't say anything. I don't think these are the most important, but if you want to say it clearly, don't say half. I smiled to myself. In fact, this is not the most important thing. Black Emperor and Zondi's sword cooperate and the two weapons instantly fit together, emitting a dazzling light. The entire sky seemed to have turned golden yellow. They had never seen such a sight before, and it was really a miracle. Lord He couldn't believe it and asked, "What happened? Why did it suddenly become like this? It's impossible." To be honest, Zhang Yang didn't expect that the two of them could fit together, and he was very serious in his heart. You don't have to feel impossible, it's reality. As Zhang Yang said, he swung his weapon quickly. When I saw this, I was completely shocked. Lord He did not expect that the combination of these two weapons would erupt such a powerful force, and all the people around him were knocked down. The unity of heaven and earth has nothing to do with everything. At this time, they seemed to be ignoring everyone, only caring about the crazy behavior here, and not caring about other things, and they didn't care whether Zhang Yang could subdue it or not. I now found that these two weapons were out of control and allowed to play freely, and no one had a way to hand them over. You have to consider one thing now, that is how you can subdue the two of them. Hearing Lord He's mocking tone, Zhang Yang frowned. I really didn't expect that when the two weapons were combined into one, such a great power could be erupted. Although Lord He lost a lot, the characters on his side also lost a lot. 1,000 enemy injuries, 800 self-injury. I really did a qualified business, but I don't know what to say. This matter is really helpless, but they don't know what to say. But the most important thing is to recover all of this. If you can't recover, you will really get into a big disaster. You don't need to say any more. It is impossible for you to change all this, because this matter has already been done, and I am afraid it is impossible for you to change it. You should think about it now, how to end it. Don't blame me for not remind you. 0. Seeking flowers. Of course, it can be heard that he is mocking himself here, but so what? This is all his own choice. The two weapons fit together. It depends on how he handles it. Maybe he can really use it successfully. You don't have to laugh at you here, and find that all the people on your side are dead. Next, what kind of skills should you use to fight me? This is indeed the case. Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong didn't tell himself about this matter just now, but now he went back to the corpses in the place. I really don't know what to say to myself. It's no use talking too much. You are still in the mood to laugh at me here. This territory no longer belongs to you. Do you still remember how you persecuted Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong at that time? Now the feng shui turns. You should return this territory to me. Quote. 0. Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong has been watching there, but did not speak. Because Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong is like a waste now, without any weapons in his hand, it is impossible to be a lord again. You guys are a group of vicious exploiters, it's really abhorrent to want to exploit me. If the lords of He lose this piece of occupied territory, they can return to their original place, but the Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong is different, he only has this place, and only this weapon, all of which are captured by Zhang Yang took it. Zhang Yang laughed out loud, is he joking with himself? All this belongs to him so viciously. But I have to admit that I am indeed an exploiter. You are right, next time I will break into Lord Yurho's place, you have to be ready. Lord He had expected such a thing to happen a long time ago, he shook his head and waited. I'll go back and wait for you now. You don't have to think that all my people are dead. You can break into my place. This is impossible. You forgot the reproductive ability of our race. A race like them has the ability to have multiple legs like a centipede. If they are allowed to go back at this time, it is very likely that an army of millions will be born tomorrow. But there is no way, the path they have chosen must be persisted, and it is impossible for them to regret it. Chapter 221 Strange Function. I told you $1 million army, and I said that if there is one, there will be one, but you are different. I will pay back the injury you suffered today, Zhang Yang, just wait for me. After Lord He said this, he quickly disappeared. Because he also suffered a certain amount of damage here, he must make up for it and fight again tomorrow. No matter what happens next, each of them must fight. Lord He quickly returned to the original territory and found that it had been destroyed. I don't know who did these things, and I was very angry. Since I did it, why didn't I come out? Fortunately, there is no one here, but I want to thrive here. I'm afraid there are certain difficulties, and I have to hurry up, because when Zhang Yang reacts, he will definitely catch up. Now I have to think of a way to quickly produce an army of millions from the 940 to fight against him. Lord He knew very well that there must be some difficulties. But there is no way, I have to do such a thing. If you retreat again, I am afraid that you will be hit hard. No matter what happens today, an army of 1 million must be produced. You just think about it, quick production. To be honest, it's still difficult. To produce an army of 1 million, it is actually a single number of people. No matter what, Zhang Yang will definitely be scared when he sees it. I laughed, and to be honest, I never thought that such a thing would happen. But no matter what, you have to persevere. Lord He was very happy to see the people he had produced. To be honest, these people will continue to conquer just like themselves. But no matter what, you must persevere. But he didn't expect that at this time, the sky would start to rain heavily, which was his life. I never thought that such a thing would happen, and I was still very helpless in my heart. No matter what, I must persist now. To be honest, the situation is still very complicated now. Although he has protective measures, if Zhang Yang brings troops over, he will definitely not be able to avoid it. You have to think of a way to change it. If you can't change it, then you will encounter very big troubles in the future. It is still very distressing to think about it this way, but these assassination agencies have been destroyed by Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong. I don't know what Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong thinks. Zhang Yang has invaded his territory and seized his weapons, but Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong still favors Zhang Yang. A man like this has nothing he can do. Very hopeless. I have nothing to say. Lord Were he came to the side and watched the millions of troops continue to multiply and thrive here. He laughed. At this moment, Zhang Yang, even if he came, he would not be afraid, because their existence could build a very strong prison wall. No one can change it. This is my hard work for so long. It's still very funny to think about it. Zhang Yang may have some difficulties if he wants to invade his own territory. It is also impossible to change it. But at this moment, the heavy rain in the sky became much heavier in an instant, and there were lightning flashes and thunder. I looked at them with some fear in my heart, because they were still immature, and it was still very difficult to speak. When I saw this, I laughed to myself. The downpour made me feel annoyed, but my results also made me feel good. Even if Zhang Yang attacks at this time, what can he do? The combination of Black Emperor and Emperor Zhang, I don't know if he has surrendered. On the other side, Zhang Yang frowned when he saw these two rebellious weapons. To be honest, I didn't expect the combination of the two of them to bring so much power. I still couldn't help laughing. If I could subdue the two of them, I might not be afraid of anything in the future, just use them directly. This is indeed the case, their abilities are very powerful. Zhang Yang tried to talk to them, but found that the two of them seemed to be very stubborn. I don't know what to say. Do you two want to fight for hegemony in this world? I'm afraid it's impossible and you won't be able to do it. You must have my help. The Black Emperor knew it was like this. But no matter what, now this time must be changed. The two of them thought about it, and it might be impossible for them to contend for world hegemony. They had to change. Do you think you can conquer the two of us by yourself? I tell you it's impossible, we are invincible now. That's what they said, but I'm afraid it's impossible for them to change at this time, they have to rely on themselves. If you don't have the main characters to accompany you, it's impossible to invade the territory. It's impossible with just two weapons. You don't have to think about rebelling. Zhang Yang must have his own backbone, only in this way can he stand on his own aura, let these two weapons be at his disposal even though they are integrated into one. The ability of Emperor Zhang is still higher than that of Black Emperor, but for some reason they are still called Black Emperor, in the end. Maybe the two of you are very powerful now, but the ultimate power belongs to me. If I don't let you show it, then it's useless, do you understand? That's what they said, but they can't change it now. We can agree to continue following you, but you must give us a guarantee. I don't know what he's going to say. What do you want to say? Just say it. Zhang Yang nodded, although he knew that they were going to propose some illegal treaties. But I have no choice now, I must conquer Lord Yurho's territory. You don't have to think about it. This territory must belong to me. If it is not my 4.1, then there is no other choice. Do you also want to watch Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong and Lord Were he bully us together? Of course it's impossible. You don't need to say any more, we choose to be with you, but if there is anything in the future, we must let us rest. Zhang Yang nodded, it was very easy to agree to this matter. Don't worry, I'm not here for hegemony. You can rest if you want, but you must complete the task. We are going to conquer that territory now. Hearing him say this, he smiled. There is nothing more to say. Okay, now we will follow what you said and continue to conquer. Hearing what the other party said, he nodded. There was nothing more to say, all of this was their own fault, so what else could he say? Chapter 222 Zhang Yang's Strength. When Zhang Yang came to attack once, he found that there were millions of troops below and laughed. It turned out that this was the strength that Lord Were he wanted. I can't say anything more, I didn't expect you to want these things, so I can't say anything more, now we will start attacking directly. As Zhang Yang said so, he waved the flag in his hand and attacked quickly. No matter what, his strong attack this time will definitely bear fruit. As soon as the voice fell, I heard him laughing, what's going on? Why are you laughing? When I heard Lord Were he laugh like this, I felt very disgusted, and I didn't know what this woman was thinking, why Yiren suddenly laughed like this. What do you mean? Did you admit defeat in advance? Of course I will not admit defeat in advance. You think too much, how could I admit defeat in advance? I have a million troops now, do you think I can admit it just because you said it? This is impossible, I am warning you now. Zhang Yang, hurry up and get your troops out of here. Quote. He laughed to himself, Zhang Yang never thought that 07 would speak so harshly. I never thought that you would say such a thing. Now I can understand, but you must also be clear about one thing. If you make a decision at this time, then I will make you regret it. Although he didn't know what he was talking about, he nodded. Okay, since you have already spoken to this extent, it is not impossible for you to occupy my territory, you have to give me a reason to give up. Lord Were he never thought that one day his territory would be occupied by an unrelated person. Although his ability is limited, he can't say these things or do these things. Although I know you are capable, what can this do? It can't change anything else. Having said that, they must work hard to protect the territory, which is the mission of Lord Urho. Because the Lord of Were he knew very well that the army of 1 million could not be used for a long time at all, and it would be exhausted in a while. What I really want to use is my own ability in the Black Widow. Although the sword in his hand is integrated, so what? I have never been afraid. You just think about it, swinging your weapon quickly. No matter who comes here today, it is impossible to take away his territory. This is his last stubbornness, and no one can. Zhang Yang, let me tell you one last time. If you are really fine, withdraw your troops as soon as possible. Don't tell me about these things. If you continue to do this, it will be too much. You clearly know that this is my mission. Why are you still doing these things? Although I know it, what can I do, because everyone's mission is different, and what they want to do is even more different. Zhang Yang smiled disdainfully. Since he was able to take on these tasks, it proved that he had this mission and could not control anything. Okay, you don't need to say any more. This matter is decided like this, and it is impossible for you to change it, because I have already made it clear to my people that after this place is built, we will build a large-scale nursing home. Don't worry, it's okay if you want to take care of the elderly. Hearing Zhang Yang's tone, shouldn't I be grateful to him and be grateful? It's really abominable. In this world, how can there be such a b********* D man? Isn't everything he did for the good of the whole family? I can't say a word, I can only look at him like this. I don't know what you're up to, but it's no use talking too much now, I hope you can understand. Hearing him say that, he laughed. I really didn't expect that one day you would make such a decision. To be honest, the moment you wanted to hurt us, the relationship between us was completely broken. He shook his head and didn't say anything else. What you think is really too simple. Should I say you are happy or you are not happy? You have everything you want, but you don't have what I want, don't you? He nodded himself and didn't say anything else. Even so, what's the use of saying so much? A fierce battle is about to begin, and they all have a measure in their hearts. But everyone understands that if they want to protect this territory, they must pay a heavy price. If they want to pay the price, their lives will be threatened. Although I don't know what you are going to do, I can tell you that there are many things that are not as simple as you think. If you think you can, then go on. If you think you can't, then shut up. Hearing what he said, Zhang Yang laughed out loud. This woman is really funny, she actually said it so simply. Did he think he wanted to do such a thing? Otherwise, how could I force them here? I really don't know what to say, but now there are many things, I can't continue to change, I hope you can understand. Hearing what he said, he nodded himself. Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong said so and used the Black Emperor, he is now a fit. To be honest, the functions have increased a lot, and it can absorb the aura of heaven and earth, and the essence of all things. Extract all the abilities into his own body, and become a bully in the universe from then on. It is precisely because of this that Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong is rarely able to completely control them, and this time they have their own masters. Okay, since you have already decided to fight now, I don't need to say anything else. After saying these words, he started to sprint. After the Black Emperor used it, he kept moving in the air. I didn't expect to see the Black Widow. If the Black Widow is conquered and the three become one, it will be a wonder in the world. Are you ready now? If you want to deliver, Black Widow, I will not refuse. Lord Were he shook his head, guarding a territory by himself, how could he easily take out his own things? You don't have to joke here, it is impossible for me to take these things out, you should understand very well. I smiled and said yes, but I couldn't say anything. Although I don't understand what you want to do, I can tell you that you will definitely not be able to do what you want to do. Can you understand? Lord Were he was very angry after saying this sentence. It was too much for them to want to take the Black Widow in their hands. Chapter 223 Nothing to say. This treasure belongs to oneself, and no one can take it away. Are you dreaming here? You still want to integrate my Black Widow into one body. This is impossible, even if you are dreaming, you can't do it. Hearing what they said, he nodded obediently. Seeing that their cooperation and conversation could not continue, Zhang Yang said directly. This is the end of our conversation. Whether I can gather it or not depends on my own ability. This has nothing to do with you. You should know that you don't have very strong abilities. All this was indeed as it was now, but he could not put the words into words. You can't continue to say that our weapons are powerful, and it has nothing to do with you, and maybe, Black Widow, can't fight them, but he can definitely continue to insist. Lord Were he is still very confident in saying this, because the fighting power of the Black Widow is also very strong, and it is absolutely impossible for anyone to come here and hurt himself at this time. You are so confident, I have nothing to say. Hearing Zhang Yang say this, I can understand that he is laughing at himself here, but so what? This is the direction I chose, this territory, even if I take my whole life, I still have to stick to it. You don't need to feel that you are very powerful. You just have some weapons. What's so great about you? I'll tell you one last time now, leave quickly and withdraw your troops. Zhang Yang shook his head. Ever since he snatched the weapon from Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong, he never thought about retreating, nor did he think about leaving. The road is clear, and I feel very happy. After all, my mission is like this. Although I have come back to life, I have a miraculous body and a miraculous mission. I feel very happy to fight for this mission all my life. Watching my territory expand piece by piece, to be honest, I am very proud in my heart. This kind of satisfaction is something no one can give myself. Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong has been quietly watching the two of them from behind, but he dare not have the courage to come up, because he knows in his heart that he has done a lot of things wrong, and coming up at this time is undoubtedly courting death. What's the use of talking too much? I can only be an invisible person now. It may be said by others that it is very unpromising, but this is also the result of one's own fault. I don't want to say anything else. All of this is my own fault. Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong is watching there. If you don't believe me, you can call him over. Unexpectedly, the man who hid so secretly here would still find out. After Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong was told this, he hurriedly left here, because he didn't have the face to continue watching here. I really didn't expect you to go too far. I thought you would leave us a way out, but I didn't expect you to cover all the way for us. Hearing what he said, he nodded himself. If I'm not ruthless, how can you do what you are today? Hearing him say that, he smiled. Although I have done all these things so terribly, it is to let them understand a truth. Many things are not something they can change if they want to. If you blame me for such a thing, then I won't deny too much, because I really have this purpose. After Zhang Yang finished speaking, he rushed down immediately, and the Dark Emperor, in his hand emitted a dazzling light, which was very dazzling. At the beginning, Lord He couldn't see clearly what was going on in front of him, and felt that his eyes were very dim, probably because of the Dark Emperor. I never thought that a weapon could have such a powerful function, and I was still very shocked in my heart. I don't even know what to say. Since you want to be my enemy, I won't refuse. After speaking quickly, start attacking immediately. The abilities of the two people are still comparable, but there is still a certain difference in the ability of the Black Widow and the Black Emperor. The Black Emperor is really capable. And he can emit a very dazzling light, which is temporarily impossible for the Black Widow. Judging from the current situation, the ability of the Black Emperor is far superior to that of the Black Widow. Black Widow can only admit defeat temporarily, and can only make these concessions. You want to win, it's impossible. After Lord He finished speaking, he went to attack. And their current ability is also very courageous to compete for hegemony over others. It's so funny between you two that you can speak so absolutely. I'm not saying it's absolute, it's just a reality. You don't need to say any more, this matter is done, otherwise you should hurry up and leave here sick, only in this way can you survive. When I heard him say that, I smiled, it was just a joke. How could I leave here with myself? Now all these things can be understood. Although if I want to leave now, there must still be some danger, but if I don't leave, I will be greatly threatened. The army of millions is almost dead now. I really didn't expect Zhang Yang to be so cruel to himself one day. Sister, I didn't expect that one day, you would actually hurt me in this way. I can't say anything more. You can do it yourself. If you think all this can belong to you or be taken away by you, then you can do whatever you want to it. After saying these words, he rushed up immediately. What else can I say? It's useless to say a little more. Okay, that's it. As Zhang Yang said, he used the Black Emperor, Wang Liao Emperor, quickly, like a tracking missile, constantly chasing after it. To be honest, Lord He was shocked when he saw this, and the people around him also backed away. They have never seen such a scene, and it is normal to be afraid. You can be afraid and I can understand that now we don't need to leave here, this place belongs to you, and you can do whatever you want. Hearing them say that, I laughed out loud. Zhang Yang didn't know why, this time the occupation was too successful and simple, there were some rear sea areas. Although I don't know what tricks you are playing, I gave you the place, but you still don't want it, what do you want? I don't want anything, I just want you to know that there are many things, not as simple as you think, so you can understand that what I want to do now has nothing to do with you. Chapter 224 Above the Sky. After Zhang Yang said this sentence, he asked Lord He to leave here as soon as possible, not to waste his time here. I'm leaving now without your reminder. I really don't understand what these people think. It's useless to think so much, it's better not to say anything. I won't talk about the things that are done. You can do it yourself. You just say that. Don't lead yourself to want to leave as a person who is not enough to win, but you don't expect that there are people in the outside world who want to hide yourself. Beyond the sky, there are people who have nowhere to live. I came to the sky above, overlooking all living beings. Lord He felt very pitiful when he thought of this, although there is no place for him in the huge world. It's really funny when you think about it. When did you become like this? How can you live so humbly? When I saw Zhang Yang carefree and unrestrained below, I thought it was very funny. There is no way to make up for all this, let alone talk about it. Okay. Now you can happily do other things, which have nothing to do with me. What you want to do in the future has nothing to do with me, and what I want to do has nothing to do with you. I smiled, that's true. They are originally two balanced lines, and there is no need for 480 to do anything. The world is originally a world where the weak eat the strong, the winner is the king, and the loser is the bandit. No one can change this matter, even if it is said, it is useless. Zhang Yang didn't bring the Black Widow here because he wanted to leave a way out for Lord He, and he still had a little kindness in his heart. I want to leave another way for you to fight for hegemony in another piece of territory, but you must guard it carefully, and you must not be rampant this time. I smiled. It was really funny. Don't you think that you should be grateful and metabolized for your behavior like this? Are you thinking too simply? Let me tell you, even if you do such a thing, then I can't say anything else, because you know very well in your heart that now I have nothing to say about all this. Quote. After Zhang Yang said this, he planned to leave, but he didn't expect Lord Werhe to look at him with hatred. You have to know that it's useless for you to look at me like this, because it's useless for me to say so much. You should be very clear about what my ultimate goal is. Lord Werhe certainly understands that he wants to conquer the whole world, but how is this possible? The world is so big, if he wants to conquer it, then there is no reason for this world to speak of. You don't need to talk so much nonsense anymore, it's useless to me at all. I smiled, but did not speak. What you want has nothing to do with me. Hearing what he said, he nodded and said nothing else. What's the use of talking too much? You are indeed more powerful, I have nothing to say. After saying this, he went on to do other things. Lord Werhe has lost a lot now, and he absolutely cannot lose the weapon in his hand again. If the weapon is gone, then he will have no fighting power. At that time, others can bully themselves as much as they want to bully themselves. This is an impossible thing. I have my pride, but it has nothing to do with you. You should understand what I want to say. Hearing what he said, he nodded himself. There's no need for either of them to keep going. It's all your choice, so don't say anything else. After saying this sentence, the two people said goodbye to each other. After all, such a thing happened, it was still very helpless, and it was very funny to think about it. They actually came to this level one day. Lord Werhe smiled very desolately, he had never thought of this result. No matter what I do now, I have to pay a heavy price. Seeing Lord Werhe's downcast back, Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong smiled helplessly. I hope that this woman will become stronger one day and bring her to fight for the territory she belongs to. Although they violate others every day, their mission is like this, and no one can change it. When thinking of this, I smiled. They can imagine such a result. After all, their abilities can still be recognized. Although many people wanted to help themselves before, it was just an illusion created by themselves, and they are the real strong. They want to bully themselves, which is impossible. Thinking too much is like dreaming. If you think too much, you might as well do nothing. This is the best result. I don't know what you are going to do next. Now we need to continue to repair the wall they made before. You should be able to understand what I mean. Only in this way can we have a reason to refuse when the returning army attacks again. I smiled, knowing that this matter is very powerful. But did not say anything else. It's no use talking too much, it's better not to say anything. Hearing what they said, he nodded. Now this result is really funny. Seeing these successfully built walls, I shook my head helplessly. I have to say that Lord Werhe is still a very good lord. It's just that I chose the wrong path and ruined my whole life. I hope she doesn't give up because of this incident. Zhang Yang didn't know why he had such an idea, and felt very helpless. Is everything I'm doing right now all of my own fault? But one cannot give up on one's own mission before it is completed, let alone admit defeat. I know what you are talking about, but no one can change everything now, you should understand what I mean. Zhang Yang knew in his heart that he must continue to fight now. Only when you have won everything can you do other things, otherwise you don't have the qualifications at all. Okay, you don't need to say any more, we still have a lot to do now, only in this way can we continue to persevere, you should understand what I think. I smiled, I really understand. What's the use of thinking so much, it's better to work hard. I understand what each of you thinks in your heart, and now you must stick to it. When I heard what they said, I nodded and didn't say anything else. There are many people below, but none of them are my real partners. Chapter 225 The Power You Want. They are just here to communicate together. Fortunately, Lord Werhe has already left. After Lord Werhe leaves, there may be more things he wants to do. But I don't know what to do now. After all, Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong still has a lot of things to solve. Thinking of this, I still frown tightly. This matter still requires a strong memory, and just one time will lead to the whole matter, and the whole game will be lost. No one can afford to bet on such an outcome. Zhang Yang looked at this group of people, and frowned tightly while working here. To be honest, he really didn't expect to achieve today's result, and he was still very surprised. But what is the use of this group of people frowning and working hard here? Now I want to consider fighting in another place. If I can bring the Black Widow over, then I am afraid that even this world is not my opponent. If this is really the case, then there is no challenge at all. At this moment, Dark Emperor unexpectedly appeared, swinging in the air constantly. What do you mean? Do you want to resist? You can't get it back at all. What else do you have to say? Zhang Yang said so without saying anything else, because he knew that they would definitely not be able to resist themselves. Unexpectedly, the Black Emperor shook his head, and quickly shook his body. He still couldn't make up for what he wanted to do. Everything they want to do now is very powerful, and no one can change it. After all, what they are doing now is to lay the foundation for the future. Only if they persist in the future, can they live well and occupy another place. It may be said that there will be a kind of people who think that they are some robbers. Yes, they are robbers. So what? Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong, what do you mean by coming here now? Just when I was thinking about this, I watched Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong quietly coming in front of me, holding a yellow unknown object in his hand. To be honest, I don't even know what he's doing. Still very helpless. Do you plan to use this weapon to kill yourself? You don't have to be so funny. What are you doing with this yellow object? Are you going to fight me? When I heard him say that, I smiled. Of course I didn't think so. Although I don't know what you are talking about, I can tell you that this yellow object is to help you continue to refuel, but you think of me so much, and I have nothing to say. I smiled to myself. This person still wants to help me, and I am not a fool. How could I believe it? You know my purpose is to conquer the world to protect the territory, and there is no one else. Do you understand what I mean? Don't say so much anymore. After saying this, it is really embarrassing to do other things immediately. Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong smiled. This person really didn't believe in himself at all. That being the case, I have nothing to say. Now this situation makes anyone feel very helpless. What are you going to do? You can just say it directly. Why do you have to say so much? You should be very clear about what my purpose is. You talk so much nonsense that it makes me feel useless. I smiled. It was indeed like this. But what can this change? What the hell are you thinking? Let me tell the police one last time about arresting you. If this happens again, I will let you go. After Zhang Yang said this sentence, he felt that he had done his best. You are simply funny, talking nonsense. After saying these words, Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong took the yellow object over. You can look at the Black Emperor. You can't hold back at all. Only these things can make them regret and obey your results, but you think of me very badly. I have nothing to say. This is your own choice. When he saw this thing, Zhang Yang didn't know what it was, but he instinctively told himself that it wouldn't scare him. Why do you want to help like this? I want to know that this is your enemy. I robbed you of your weapons and made you homeless. At that time, of course I knew that this person was my enemy, and I shouldn't be soft on him. You don't need to say it. I know what you are talking about, but all this has nothing to do with you and me. I just hope you can understand one thing, that is, everything you are doing now is related to you and I don't have much to do. 0. Seeking flowers. 0. Zhang Yang is very confused now. What this person is talking about, how could it not have much relationship, and what they want to do now is the enemy. Are you crazy? You should be very clear. I am your enemy now. I have invaded your territory and robbed your weapons. Can you still forgive me? Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong certainly couldn't forgive himself. Everything he did now was for a bigger conspiracy. It was not impossible for him to invade the territory. I don't care what you want to do, I just hope you can understand. After saying this sentence, he immediately leaked out this yellow object. To be honest, I didn't say anything else when I saw this. 0. When I saw this, I smiled. It turned out to be these things. These essences are very powerful when used. I don't know what you said. Why did you give me these essences? You should know. If these essences let me possess, then you will regret it. Do you understand what I mean? I smiled. Of course I can understand. You think too much. I'm just using it for you to let you know that I still have these things. You should understand what I mean, and I hope you can understand no matter what you do in the future. After Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong finished speaking, he planned to leave immediately. Because it is enough to say these words. Where are you going? Do you still want to invade the territory? You know you have nothing now. I smiled, but I wouldn't do such a thing. Nothing to do with you. Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong finished his sentence with a blank expression, and then left here, because he was going to do a very important thing. No one knows what will happen in the future, but now they must persist. When thinking of this, I smiled. I don't know what you guys are going to say, but now you talk so much, it's useless. Zhang Yang looked at the man's back without saying a word, and planned to leave himself. There were still many things to do, and he didn't have so much time to talk nonsense here. Chapter 226 Hiding. I want to discuss one thing now, that is to leave here to do another thing, to think about it carefully. Although I have already occupied a lot of territory, as for the method of use, I have not thought of it yet. I have to think of a way, and I can't let all this go on in vain. Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong actually hid, which was something he had never thought of. At this moment, I don't even know what to do. To be honest, I have nothing to say about what they are doing now, and they are hiding. Lord Erho is hiding, and I can understand why Patriarch Lan Tuoxiong did such a thing. Looking at the object in his hand blankly, he couldn't figure out what tricks he was playing here. Zhang Yang is not thinking about anything else, since he has this object, why not make good use of it? 300. It just so happens that I haven't thought of a way yet. Black Emperor, come out. The Black Emperor was taking a lunch break, and he was very impatient when he heard this man calling him, and he didn't know what he was going to do. What are you asking me to do at this time? You clearly know that I am taking a lunch break. You are doing too much. The next time you do something like this, I will fight you. Hearing what he said, Zhang Yang smiled. You've been too rampant recently. Zhang Yang really couldn't bear such a proud tone of his. But so what? After all, there is still a big difference in abilities between the two of them. Zhang Yang looked at the scene here, very helpless. What is this for? Do they want to rebel? What are you going to do? I just want to wipe your body to let you understand. Don't resist too much. What are you thinking here? Black Emperor smiled. Of course he didn't resist. After all, he has something very powerful now, and it is impossible for him to resist him. He must obtain his consent. What you are going to do has nothing to do with me. Hearing Zhang Yang say this, he smiled, knowing who made this thing without looking. Aren't you two enemies? Why do you use everything he gave you? Do you know that once this thing is used on me, I will die a miserable death? Do you have any brains? Hearing the angry words of the Black Emperor, I shook my head. I really didn't expect it to be so terrible. I'm really sorry. I didn't expect such a thing to happen. If I knew, I would definitely not do such a thing, but all this is for you. Isn't there a lot of benefits? Although there are many benefits, but what's the use? I don't care at all. You think too simply, and when you didn't expect you to be so stupid, let me tell you for the last time, these things are not important to me at all. When I heard him say that, I smiled. Are these things really unimportant? Are you really telling the truth? These things I heard them say are very important to a person, and you need these things. In fact, whether they need it or not is not important to invaders like them. I can emit dazzling light not because of these objects, but because I have absorbed the essence of the sun and the moon. If you don't understand these things, don't talk nonsense. I may not really understand. You are really good, but what can I say? Hearing what he said, I shook my head and didn't speak again. To be honest, it's embarrassing for you to say that. Hearing what he said, Zhang Yang also smiled helplessly. Whether he was embarrassed or not has nothing to do with him. You don't need to say any more. If you don't need these things, I can take them away. You can continue to rest. I want to discuss a plan now. I plan to continue clearing away the heat. Do you have any ideas? Dark Emperor, of course, has no idea. You can do whatever you want. You don't have to talk to me, because the two of us are destined to disagree on what you want to do, so you don't have to tell me, and it won't change anything if I say it. You might as well make your own decision. This is indeed the case, because what he said is useless at all, and he will not say it again after a long time. It is very good for them to live their own lives. Why do you talk like this? You clearly know that many things are unavoidable, but you blame me for all of them. It's too much. If it weren't for the necessary cooperative relationship between the two of them, how could I have endured him for such a long time? Hearing what the other party said, Zhang Yang smiled. There is no need to haggle over every detail. After they want to make this place completely their own, they will go to another place. After all, after conquering a place, they can no longer be allowed to leave. This is a mission they must fulfill. How are you guys doing with the wall? We're going to get out of here if we can. When they heard what they said, everyone shook their heads. It is still difficult to build the wall. To be honest, we don't even know what's going on with the building. You can come over and check it out, boss. The person who spoke was Zhang Daqing, an envoy who guarded this place. After all, I have been here for a long time and have some experience, so I am very rich. Okay, let's hurry up and start the acceptance here. I'll take care of the aftermath. You guys discuss how we should start next. I smiled to myself. They are still very surprised that they can have such a big harvest now. Usually they go directly to attack after they have discussed it. Such a result shocked everyone. We can start right away, but we're going to attack, and the next 4.2 needs to work on our body. Zhang Yang understands what he means, but if he wants to practice, it doesn't mean that he can do it just by doing it. Leave this matter to me. You just need to think about where you want to attack next. Each of them smiled, and to be honest, such a result made them satisfied. Can we leave now? Zhang Yang shook his head. Now is not the best time. Need to find a suitable opportunity. We still need to wait for a while. I hope you can understand. Zhang Daqing frowned, not knowing what the other party was thinking. Boss, what do you mean by this? Shouldn't we be very happy that we can have this result for a few days? Why stop? Chapter 227 Change the model. Lord Hussar didn't know what to say. After all, there are many things that can't be solved now, so why think so much now? Zhang Yang glanced at him and sighed. You think about how to solve it first. After hearing this, a group of people nodded their heads. Of course they knew what to do. Boss, don't worry, there are some things we will definitely solve. If you have anything to do in the future, just tell us, we will leave first. Lan Tuoxiang nodded, but didn't say anything else. He had another thought in his heart. Regardless, there are a few things that must be said. Although my current model is somewhat inappropriate, if I continue to persist, there will definitely be people who want to leave. This is a phenomenon that is not allowed to happen. No matter what happens, as long as you stay here for a day, no one else can leave the organization. You must know that you can see their efforts, and it is simply too difficult to leave at this time. You don't have to think about it anymore. I'll let you go about your business. Let me know 07 in time if you have anything to do, and don't think about other things. After everyone left, I lay on the sofa alone, quietly thinking about what happened these days. To be honest, I didn't expect all this to happen so smoothly. If I had known that such a thing would happen, I would not have done it. Now he doesn't know where the Lord has gone. To be honest, he still has some regrets. I don't know what to do more. When thinking about it like this, he shook his head immediately. The Lord is his own enemy, why should he think so much? There is no need to think about it now, just nod your head and think about another thing, that is to hurry up and stabilize all this, so that they can no longer doubt their identity. Lan Tuoxiang wanted to strengthen his weapons, and thought that the next step in the battle was needed, so he planned to go to another place to strengthen his weapons. When I came to a very secret place, I saw the lush vegetation here, and then I thought that there must be a lot of aura for myself to absorb. I never thought about this before, but since the Black Emperor's ability is getting bigger and bigger, I have to think about more and more things. There is no way, if you can't do these things yourself, you will face the danger of being hurt and attacked by others. Thinking like this, I can only persist. No one can tamper with his mission. Thinking of this, I laughed. No matter who wants to hurt himself, this is impossible. You don't have to do these things anymore. I can tell you clearly that if you regret doing it so much, it must be because you don't believe us. We'll see. Hearing what they said, he smiled. Zhang Yang doesn't know who this person is, but he speaks too arrogantly. He just wants to practice here, and has no intention of invading the territory here, but he warns himself here that this is a bit too much. Although I don't know why you say that, I never thought of harming your territory, nor did I want to occupy it. What do you mean by asking me that? He only saw that ugly man laughing loudly, and he knew best whether he wanted to occupy his own territory or not. You don't need to say any more, you are just a robber who specializes in absorbing other people's efforts, don't I understand? This person may not really know. If you are clear, how can you say such a thing? I warn you to catch it now and leave my territory, this is not something you can trample on at will. I really laughed, laughing at myself will never leave here. Your thinking is too simple. I just want to come here to strengthen my weapon and absorb the aura of the world, but you are talking so much nonsense here that I have nothing to say. What this person said made me very helpless. But I don't know what to say. The things you said have nothing to do with me. If you think you can continue, then go on, and I won't stop it, but I have to practice here, which is out of your control. Zhang Yang has his own backbone, how could he leave here because of his few words? Lord Wesley smiled. Since he didn't want to leave, he couldn't blame himself for being rude. I've given you a chance. You don't want to leave this place. Only after you occupy this place as your own can you leave or practice here. The aura of creatures is still very important and deadly to an invader. You want to suck away all the auras of creatures here, this is impossible, it's like a dream. After saying this sentence, he immediately began to use his own ability. This man has an immature weapon in his hand, that is, scattering pollen. Scattered pollen is a very scary spiritual creature. The function of using it is also very scary. Lan Tuoxiong didn't know what this person's real ability was, but he still smiled. I don't care what your ability is, but I'm warning you now, there are some words, don't do it before 327 can do it. This person really likes to make trouble for no reason. What we do has nothing to do with you. Just do what you want. If you want to go to war with me, it's okay. Are you ready? Of course I am ready. Yes, I'm ready. Zhang Yang said so, and took out the Black Emperor. When Lord Husser saw it, he nodded immediately, and he had guessed that he would use this weapon a long time ago. Do you think that you can have a very powerful ability after owning this weapon? If this is the case, then you are too crazy. I warn you that this weapon is a piece of cake for me, because it's the nemesis's scattering pollen. Zhang Yang didn't know what nemesis was at first, after all, he had never heard of it before. What do you mean by that? Is there anything the Black Emperor is afraid of? Let me tell you, the only thing he is afraid of is the Black Widow, but the owner of the Black Widow has already fled for his life. Having said that, there are many things that Lan Tuoxiong cannot touch. If you don't believe me, you can compete with me, and you will know what is the strongest. Scattered pollen is the nemesis of Black Widow and Black Emperor. Chapter 228 Inches Emperor slaying sword, out of body. But one thing is proven, that is, when the two of them fit together, scattering pollen needs to make way. Loose pollen is powerful though, that only works against them together. If they are together, there is no way for them to be truly powerful and they need to rely on other items. The moment they really fought, they knew what it meant to be truly powerful. Zhang Yang never thought that there would be a time when he would meet the nemesis of the Black Emperor. Seeing this, Zhang Yang knew very well in his heart that if the Dark Emperor came out at this time, he would probably be suppressed. Why do weapons that devour other people's weapons exist? They are too despicable, how can they create these things? The Lord of Wessel laughed when he saw Zhang Yang was a little scared, and asked him if he was scared. How about my weapon? I knew you would have such an expression when you saw it, but don't worry, we have plenty of time to have fun with you today. I smiled to myself, I really didn't expect to become what I am today, but what the Dark Emperor can't do, maybe the Emperor's sword can do it. But at this moment, the sky instantly turned purple, just like Rosa appeared. Very scary. Zhang Yang didn't know what happened, and just wanted to go up to stop it, but found that the scene here was not something he could stop. What are you doing? A bunch of trash. When he heard what they said, Lord Wessel was very afraid of Rosa, because when Rosa appeared, he realized that a creature was about to become extinct, and he didn't allow this to happen. You actually know why we appear, then you should also understand that it will be the time when you and your things will perish. Welcome to this moment. Zhang Yang said so, although he didn't know what was injected into his body, he was still very happy. After all, after such a moment happened, there was no way to stop it. Lord Wessel looked at this strange scene with great curiosity in his heart. But there is nothing to do, let alone what to do. When you see this, go to another place immediately, and you should find a way to stop everything here. It can no longer be the same as it is now, allowing them to continue to carry forward. At this moment, something called a shock happened. I only saw that the Black Emperor and Zondi's sword were separated. I never thought that such a situation would happen before. How should we arrange it now? Everyone is shocked. What does this mean? If it was absolutely impossible to have such a situation in the past, what is going on today? Is everything different from what I thought? But it shouldn't be. Black Emperor and Zondi's sword have just joined together, so how can it be said that they are separated? When I was so young, I still frowned tightly. I originally wanted to ask, but found that this time is not the best time. I can only wait for the opportunity in the future to ask all this clearly. Lord Wessel looked at all this and was furious. Is he playing with his feelings? What are you doing? You are hiding our mutual feelings. I warn you that there are some things that you can't do just by saying. I nodded my head and didn't say anything else. Of course I understood in my heart, but all of this was my own choice. What's the use of talking so much nonsense? My thoughts have nothing to do with you. Please hurry up and leave. Lord Wesley was very angry. Was he playing with himself? The most important thing to do now is to take back the scattering pollen. After all, the Lord of Wesser knows very well that when scattering pollen and Zondi's sword touch together, there is a high possibility of a spark of love. At that time, the weapon of scattering pollen may not belong to him. After thinking about it, I made the most painful choice, which was to bring him back as soon as possible. But at this time, I suddenly discovered that scattering pollen seemed to be out of my control and had its own thoughts. This is the scariest thing. Zhang Yang is just an invader. Why should he have such a strong ability? Why are you doing this? You clearly know that doing so is against the law. I warn you, if you don't return my weapon, I will definitely fight with my life and fight you to the end. Zhang Yang never thought of violating this territory in the past. After all, this place does not belong to him, so there is no need to do such things. Can't figure out why he would do this. You think too much. I just want to practice my weapon here, but why do you fight with me? If this is the case, then I will take this territory for myself. All of this, it's all your fault. It is actually quite normal for an exploiter like this to do such a thing. I knew you would do such a thing a long time ago, but I didn't expect your eating to be so ugly. Zhang Yang shook his head helplessly, wondering whether he looked ugly or not. There is no relationship with him in the world. The law of the jungle is the law of the jungle, and ability is the king. If you want to talk about me, then you can continue to talk, but after I invade this territory, it will belong to me and I will hang our flag and have nothing to do with you. This man is too much. At this moment they became two weapons, lying on one side safely. To be honest, Zhang Yang was very shocked when he saw this. Never thought this would happen. What exactly is going on? The Lord of Wessel was even more angry. You must know that if such a situation happened to them and they wanted to invade their territory, wouldn't it be a matter of minutes? You are too much. Are you doing these things on purpose? He really expressed that he was very innocent, and he never thought that they would be separated. Qian Li's. At the beginning, I really didn't want to invade this territory. After all, this is a holy land, and I don't have that much ability yet. But the Lord of Wesley has repeatedly said that he is an invader. Why can't he make his words come true? Anyway, I am already an invader, so what if it is worse? Since you have said so, I will do these things step by step. I am a robber in the first place, and only in this way can I verify what you said. As Zhang Yang said so, he summoned the Black Emperor back and held it in his hands. Lord Wesley looked at them angrily. I wanted to recall the loose pollen, but found that there was nothing I could do. You don't have to think about it anymore. Zondi's sword is not just for you to look at. The skill of Zondi's sword is still very powerful. I really didn't expect Zhang Yang to be able to use ultimate. Chapter 229. Nothing to say. The current situation is still very strong, and I never thought that such a thing would happen one day. Thinking of this, he frowned tightly. There should be other ways to do such a thing, but what should be done specifically? Zhang Yang still needs to think carefully for a while. Although I don't know why you have such a weird idea, but since you already have it, don't blame me. You're welcome. Let me tell you one last time. Many things are not what I want to do, but what you are here persecute me. After Zhang Yang said this, he quickly put the Dark Emperor into his hands. Tossing and turning, one attack followed by another. Lord Hustle, wait until you die. I just gave you a chance. I just wanted to practice here, but you wanted to hit me, then this time you will have to pay the price. This man is deliberately looking for a reason to invade his territory with confidence. It is really disgusting. Zhang Yang, you did this on purpose. I tell you that one day, I will pay you back and make you regret it. After saying this sentence, he immediately started attacking. Although scattering pollen could not be returned to his hands for the time being, with his strong strength, he was able to deal with him a few moves back and forth. You are simply joking here. With a person like you, you still want to fight me empty-handed, are you dreaming? Zhang Yang has never seen such a wishful thinking person who wants to be a white wolf with nothing. Whether I'm dreaming here or not, you'll know for a while. You don't have to laugh at me here. You'll be able to understand the danger of trees right away. In fact, the reason why the Lord of Wessel is so rampant is because these trees are dangerous. As long as they are close to them, they will be very scary, and they emit a very powerful force. It is precisely because I feel this change that I want to invade. But I didn't expect him to go so far. Thinking of this, I shook my head. No one can change this situation now, and to be honest, they are still very curious. The reason why the Black Emperor and Zondi's sword separated was because they felt the continuous stimulation of external forces, which caused their hearts to swell, so the internal discord led to the external separation. Such a situation is not clear to Zhang Yang for the time being, because the Black Emperor didn't say much. Zhang Yang now only wants to defeat this person and invade this territory. Said mockingly, "You don't need to feel very good about yourself here. Let me tell you one last time. It's useless to say a lot of words, Abi. Now you hurry up and give this place to me. Maybe you can still get out of here alive. I decided to let you go, but if you continue to insist, then there will be a bad result in a while." Lord Wessel smiled and shook his head. Is this man wishful thinking? The surrounding trees are all his own soldiers. If he wants to find himself, he must destroy these trees. But if the tree destroys this territory, it will automatically die. You are joking with me. If you can try it, I would suggest that you destroy all my soldiers. You must know that killing my soldiers is equivalent to destroying my wings. Zhang Yang understood what he was talking about, but when he was about to do it, he received bad news. I realized that if I cut off all these trees, that is, when I cut off its wings, then I would automatically die here, and there would be no time to escape. This is a very scary thing. You have to think twice before you act. But at this time, I found that the speed of the trees moving was something I never dared to imagine. It was so fast that I couldn't even see it with my eyes. Zhang Yang couldn't help but wonder what kind of trick this was. He seemed to have never seen who this man was. It seemed that he had to make another plan if he wanted to occupy this territory. However, being able to gather the loose pollen is also a very good harvest. Stinky boy, do you think you can leave easily if you take my weapon? You are dreaming. I will tell you one last time. Return the weapon to me quickly. Only in this way can I spare your life. Quote. This person spoke too much. He actually said that he is Zhang Yang, and he couldn't bear such grievances, and then he shouted loudly. Don't deceive others too much. You have to blame for all this. Why do you say that to me? Quote. Hearing Zhang Yang say such words, Lord Wessel laughed out loud. None of them thought that such a situation would happen, and now they must hurry up and get out of here. Lord Wessel, I warn you not to mess around. Don't forget who I am. Of course I didn't forget it, but so what? He wants to invade his territory. Lord Wesley smiled. Don't you think it's funny talking to me like this? Have you forgotten why you did such a thing? I warn you, it's wishful thinking if you talk to me like this again at this time, it's impossible. Hearing what the Lord of Wessel said, Zhang Yang felt a little fear in his heart. When he saw these numbers, these teleportation skills really drove people crazy. I really didn't expect that such a thing would happen to me now. The most important thing now is to leave this place of right and wrong as soon as possible. I don't care what you think. If you want to hurt me, it's absolutely impossible, and I can't let you do such a thing. You should understand what I mean. Although I understand it, what can I change? Zhang Yang's desire to occupy this territory was no longer a temporary idea, it was because this person had provoked him too many times. If it wasn't because you took the initiative to provoke me, I wouldn't have done such a thing. Don't think that you can take me in just because you can move a tree. This technology is still very scary, and once anything happens, it will have a lot to do with it. If you are not afraid, then you don't need to talk so much nonsense here. After all, you are still afraid. When I heard what he said, I nodded to Zhang Yang. I was indeed a little afraid of this technique, because I was dazzled by the sight. Do you think he'll think otherwise when you say that? It's too much. Having said that, then use other skills to compress all the methods. Seeing that there is no way to change it now, he smiled helplessly. I can't say anything else now. Lord Wessel, let me ask you one last time, do you really want to make such a decision? I only saw him nodding his head seriously, of course he had to make this decision, and he had no way out. Chapter 230 Lord Training. Do you think I can still listen to what you say? Let me tell you, I am the lord of these trees. As a lord, I must treat them well. If I leave all this to you, what will happen? What? I really dare not say. You don't need to say other nonsense, hurry up and wait for death. Lord Wessel said so, and then began to move the trees quickly. In fact, the branches of these trees can spread. There are also some vines that continue to stretch. This is the most terrifying scene. I never thought that one day these scenes would happen to me. Very shocked, how should this be done? But at this moment, the Emperor Zhang jumped out of his body quickly, and kept shining in the air. Zhang Yang doesn't know what the Zondi sword is going to do. But he didn't say anything, because the Black Emperor didn't stop it, which proved that he was going to do a very important thing, and he just needed to look here. The moment I saw some trees dancing, they all stopped because of this dazzling light, or the moisture in the trees was sucked dry. This look is too scary. What kind of thing should I do now? Should I just wait here? Now the situation is complicated. Still frowning tightly, but don't know where to start. Why didn't I think of such a situation before? I was in a dilemma, and I didn't know what to do. I felt a headache when I saw these bibliographies. I haven't encountered this situation before, and now I have to change it. Seeing that the Emperor Zhang is not retracted, one knows that this is still a very terrifying thing. Is he going to fight Lord Wessel? Although I don't know what you think, but now you must understand that if you make us your enemy, then your Beifang County will die. Zhang Yang must now stop the Zondi sword from making all decisions, because after all the trees are cut down, they will face death. This is an unacceptable reality, and they cannot do without it. Immediately afterwards, he wanted to call the Emperor Zhang back, but found that he was completely out of control now, and he couldn't listen to what he said. What are you going to do? Are you going to rebel? Do you know that when you cut down all the trees, there will be great consequences? Although the truth is so, but I can't tolerate it. I must take revenge now, just because of this man's arrogant tone. What you want to do has nothing to do with me, but I can tell you that if you really want to do this, then I will definitely let you die miserably. Lord Hussar smiled like this, which made people feel very gloomy. Could it be that he wanted to die with himself? If this is the case, I can't gamble with him. I don't care what you are going to do. All the things you will do next have nothing to do with me. I hope you can understand. Hearing what the other party said, Lord Hussar doesn't care at all, as long as he can protect his territory well. I don't care what you do, don't harm my territory. If you do, the consequences are not something you can bear. 17. No one wants to hear these words. Zhang Yang didn't want to hear it anymore. If you do such things stubbornly, I don't mind dying with you. You can see that the weapon in my hand is much stronger than yours. Having said that, you can't continue to indulge. Your words are so simple that I am speechless. If we have the ability, the two of us will wait and see. Hearing what he said, he nodded. If you really want to do this, then I can't say anything else, but I still warn you, be careful. Lord Hussar nodded. This man is pretending to be a little sheep here. Could it be that he wants to pity him? You are so funny, you are very clear about what you have done yourself. Zhang Yang really didn't know what sinful thing he had done to make him say that about himself. Don't go too far. If you can speak clearly, you can say whatever you want, but if you can't speak clearly, can you please shut up? Of course not. It is impossible for someone to invade their territory and deprive them of their human rights. Zhang Yang can occupy land Tuoxiangs and others, but he cannot harm his own. 0. Seeking flowers. If he touches these things, then he will die with him, and this is not hesitating. Although I don't know what you are doing, I can warn you that if you do these things again, I will definitely make you very unhappy. If you don't believe me, we can wait and see. Hearing his arrogant tone, he shook his head. Having said that, the results have been unsatisfactory. I won't interfere with what you want to do, but you can't touch my things anymore. This man is really very arrogant when he speaks. Zhang Yang couldn't bear it anymore, and didn't want to say anything more. You are too much, and you are too proud to speak. Don't think that if you do this, I will have nothing to do with you. This is impossible. I tell you, you can try it now. What is it like to be hurt? The result of 0.0. Zhang Yang didn't want to care about what the consequences would be when all these trees were cut down. He just wanted to let this man know what the consequences would be if he hurt himself. All of this is your own fault, but don't say that I'm too cruel. If it wasn't because you provoked me, how could I do such a thing? Zhang Yang has never caused a party to be ruined by violating the territory before. But this person was too much, and he couldn't bear it. All of this is your own fault. You can't blame me, you should understand what I mean. Of course I can understand, but what can this change? Lord Wessel laughed out loud, and his smile was full of sarcasm and disdain. You don't need to say any more. I really don't know what you want to say. From now on you and I are officially enemies. I hope you can understand. After Lord Wessel finished his sentence, he immediately began to attack. I have to say that this attack is still very fierce, but Zhang Yang is not afraid at all. He has never been afraid of very tough people. You're literally bringing the blame on yourself, or humiliating yourself, here. After saying this sentence, immediately deal with it. Having to say this fact is embarrassing. Chapter 231 Zhang Yang's sudden change. When I thought about it this way, I immediately thought of another way, which was to tell all of this. Zhang Yang knew that he had to undergo a change, and it would be a very unwise choice to confront him head-on at this time. Lord Hussar, let me tell you again, although I came here before without your permission, it may be my fault, but if you break up with me because of such a thing, don't you think it's too bad? Is it not responsible for all the lives here? I hope you will think carefully before making a decision. Lord Wessel certainly understood that he couldn't change things arbitrarily like this. But absolutely cannot condone Zhang Yang encroaching on his own territory. I know you are afraid that I will encroach on your territory. I will take everything I have and leave here now. Can I trouble you to stop the 610 office from going any further? Although Lord Wessel didn't know what he was thinking, he still nodded. Of course I can agree. As what you just said true. But why did you suddenly change so much that I can't get used to it? Is there something wrong? Of course not. What can happen? Zhang Yang immediately refused. If there is a reason for his sudden change, then the only reason is that he hopes that this territory will be safe. Can you stop judging the heart of a gentleman with the heart of a villain? I just want this territory to continue to be safe and sound. Why do you think of others like this? I shook my head. No matter whether such a thing happened or not, I should think about it carefully. Regardless of whether you came here before, without my consent, it is a very excessive thing. Even so, there is nothing to say. What else can I say? I really didn't expect you to think like this, but since you want to withdraw voluntarily, I have nothing to say, so hurry up and get out of here. Zhang Yang was very angry when he heard the words of Lord Hussar, but he had no choice but to endure it. I really don't know what to say to you. Now I don't want to say any more. I just wanted to absorb this aura. If you don't agree, it's fine. When he heard what the other party said, he nodded his head. If it was true, then it would be easy to say, but he was afraid that things would not be what he thought. I had nothing to say, so I let him leave quickly. Since you've made up your mind and decided in your heart, don't say anything more, hurry up and get out of here, and don't let me see you again. Zhang Yang was still very angry in his heart. If he hadn't considered the overall situation, the driver would definitely not have allowed this man to make trouble for no reason. But there is no way, since I have chosen such a result, I must stick to it, leave here first, and consider the rest of the matter in the long run. Today I will let you go temporarily, but don't forget, the reason why I chose to leave is not because of you, but because of the safety of this land. You wait for one day, I will make a comeback. When the time comes you will definitely regret it. Lord Hustle smiled. He never regretted it, and now he has a very good idea, and Zhang Yang is a very weak man. I can use this weakness to make him never come to my side again. Such a man has no qualifications to come here at all. If you really can, then you can do what you want, and it has nothing to do with me. I hope you can understand that everything you do now has nothing to do with me. Saying so, the Lord of Wessel activated the protective device to bounce Zhang Yang back. Zhang Yang didn't expect this person to act so absolutely that he had nothing to say. This is all your own choice, so what can I say? I warn you one last time, think carefully before doing things. After Lan Tuoxiong said this sentence, he led his people away from here. Originally, I came here to practice well by myself, and I didn't bring too many people here, but I didn't expect that Lord Wesser turned out to be AB******************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************iciociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociociocioci discuss it with the people around me. If I want him to pay the price of possession, I must not condone such a thing, and it will continue to happen by my side. This is absolutely impossible. I don't care what you think in your heart, but for such a thing, I will make everyone pay the due price. The territory belongs to you, but I don't want you to wantonly hurt. Quote. After saying this sentence, Zhang Yang took his own weapon and left here, along with scattering pollen. The reason why scattered pollen followed Zhang Yang was because he felt that the Lord of Wesser was a very hole, and he was not worthy of being a lord. One day, I will break into the interior and persuade all the soldiers so that they will stop fighting for the Lord of Wessel for the rest of their lives. You don't have to worry too much, I can handle such matters here. After saying this, go to a meeting to discuss this matter. If you want to occupy a territory, you must discuss it carefully, otherwise you will pay a heavy price. Boss, I don't think we can attack by force, because if we attack by force, it will lead to a very serious consequence, and we must outsmart it. Of course I know it is such an answer, but how to get it back is the most important thing, and I can't be like other people, eating too ugly. I know what you think in your heart, but you have to pay something to be able to do what you want. I nodded myself. Everyone around him knows what kind of person he is. Zhang Yang doesn't need to say more. Okay, 4.3 we don't need to say so much now, just leave here. They looked at Lan Tuoxiang's place, and couldn't help but think that Lan Tuoxiang might be able to discuss it if he was here. Do you know where Lan Tuoxiang went? Emperor Zhang Yang rushed out at this time. My original master has actually been with you all the time, but you haven't noticed it. If you want to know, you have to come and ask me. This person is really funny. Does Zondi's sword still want to fight for Lan Tuoxiang? What do you mean? Do you still want to fight for your original master for the rest of your life? He is really not a good master. Emperor Zhang Yang nodded, he understood very well. But nothing can be changed. Chapter 232, The World of the Strong. After returning, Zhang Yang was very curious. He didn't know what happened to Lord Wessel and why there was a sudden 72-degree change. But no matter what, this time I must get everything to the bottom. Only in this way can I make them understand that what Zhang Yang wants is not their territory, but an attitude. We are holding an urgent meeting now to discuss what should be done. A change must be made regarding the situation of Lord Wessel. Everyone has an answer in their hearts, that is, this place must be occupied, and there is no retreat at all. Boss, you don't need to say it, we all know what you think, but no matter what, we must occupy this place. If we don't do it, then it is very likely that others will change the course. Although this is the case, if the tree is to be cut down now, it will probably lead to the destruction of the entire habitat. This is a very big consequence, and they cannot afford it. I know what your thoughts are, and I really want to occupy that place, but don't forget that if a biological chain is destroyed, there will be a very big consequence. We must take this into consideration thing. And the trees there exist according to living beings. They have to consider a consequence. I know what you are thinking, but if there is no change at this time, it is likely to lead to the destruction of the entire biological chain. You should understand what I mean. Of course I understand, but what can I do? Okay, you don't need to say any more. I know what you want to express, but no matter what, these things have already happened and there is no way to change them. The attitude of Lord Wessel is too bad. We must let him say what he should say. Punishment. Having said that, you can't change too much. Well, I understand what you mean, but I can't say anything else now. After saying these words, they went on to do other things. After all, if such a thing happened, the consequences would be very serious, and they had no way of retreating. Okay, let's deal with it now, but there are some things you must understand. No matter what we do, we should be based on principles and beliefs, and we must not trample on our bottom line. Of course they knew, but what can they do? Lord Hustle is a very snobbish person, and he is not afraid of this at all. If they want to give up, they must pay the due price. Boss, I know what you mean, but just because we think this way doesn't mean they will do this. We are kind but they don't respect our kindness. Why do we still do these things? Zhang Yang thought for a while, frowned and said, what other people do has nothing to do with us. We must know that good and evil have reincarnation. It is enough for them to be worthy of their conscience, and we don't have to think about it so much. Zhang Yang now needs to consider a very important thing, that is to bring back the entire territory, but absolutely not by force. Because the Lord of Washer is a very evil person, if force is used, the entire territory will be destroyed, so they have to consider another method. If you don't want an ecological crisis, you can only choose a method slowly. First of all, you must convince the Lord of Wesser. Lord Husser is really a very stubborn person. Zhang Yang has traveled so many territories, and has never seen such a stubborn person. It is too selfish to be destroyed rather than handed over to himself. If it wasn't because you can't force yourself, how could you choose these? Still very helpless after thinking about it, Zhang Yang frowned, not knowing what order to make. At this moment, the little soldier who had not spoken came up. Very sincerely, he said to Lord Wessel, Boss, if you have any order, you can just say it directly. If we can do it, we will definitely not refuse it. Don't worry, we are the most persistent backing by your side. Zhang Yang nodded. Without saying anything else, I have nothing else to do now. The most important thing is to conquer the territory, other things are easy to talk about. You don't need to do too much right now. Let me do some ideological work for Lord Wessel first, and I will talk about it when I come back. Before I go, none of you can act rashly, understand? Everyone nodded and didn't speak anymore. Of course they can understand. What's wrong with this? Boss, are you sure you want to do something like this? Once you decide, there is really no way to change it. Of course I understand, what is there to be uncertain about? If I can't even be sure about such a thing, what else can I be sure about? I have gained a lot of rewards when I grow up, but what can I do? I know what you are thinking, but there is no way. We must ensure that everything is closely related to us before we can do other things. Hearing what the other party said, he nodded his head. After all, he needed to listen to the boss's instructions. Whatever the boss says is what he says. Zhang Yang is actually very stressed because he doesn't know what choice to make. The most important thing is not knowing what to say. While thinking this way, he shook his head. You guys go to rest now, leave the rest of the matter to me, other things are easy to talk about. After finishing speaking, he left here immediately. He still had a lot of things to do. I don't have so much time to think about other things. After conquering this territory, I have to take a good rest for a while. I absolutely can't waste my body so much like now. Boss, go get busy first. What's going on here? With us here, we will obey this bunch of land. In fact, Zhang Yang is really grateful that this group of people has them in their own hands and really has little to worry about. To be honest, I should really thank you all. If I have time in the future, I will definitely treat you well and have a good meal. This group of people laughed loudly, but didn't say anything else. After all, such things rarely happen to them. Zhang Yang is a man of flesh and blood, he is the brothers around him who have feelings, and he can see that he has gone through fire and water for himself. Boss, we know what kind of person you are, so you don't need to say more, we are willing to serve you. Chapter 233 Happy. Hearing a group of brothers say this, I smiled, very happy, and left here without saying anything else. Lord Husser is very scared in his territory at this time, but fortunately he can handle this matter well, otherwise he doesn't know what to do. Heavy troops are attacking. Lord Husser said so, only to see some old trees, which moved in front of him in an instant. Elder, what are your orders? This group of people is very old, and it is actually very inconvenient to move around, but their existence is the main reason for guarding here. If these numbers rebel, then there is really no need for the Lord of Wessel, so I need to advance set up a meeting with them. It is very important for me to tell you these things now. You should know that our current land is facing a very big danger. If you want to change it, you must tell me. Do you understand what I mean? One of them, a very old pagoda tree, shook his head. Elder, I really don't understand what you mean, just that brat wants to invade our territory, didn't he destroy it in minutes? Of course it's not like this, how can they have such a great ability to do these things? You don't have to think about it. There is no way to do such things so easily. Some things are not as simple as you think. Now just listen to me obediently. Do you understand what I mean? Many people nodded, of course they understood, and they couldn't guarantee that they would not rebel. But what can be done is to tell the elders during the auction. Don't worry, if we can rebel, we will definitely tell you, but I believe in your strength, we will definitely not let us rebel. In fact, these trees still have flesh and blood and feelings, because they have been here for many years, and then leaving here to live in another place is also a very painful thing for them. Lord Wessel shook his head, he didn't particularly trust them. You don't need to say it, I know what you mean, but don't worry, as long as I have a bite to eat, I will definitely not let you suffer any harm, just don't worry. They all nodded after hearing that, but they didn't speak anymore. Okay, you can leave here now, but don't worry, I will definitely protect you and prevent any accidents from happening to you. These old trees are already very old, and they don't need to make too many changes, they can accomplish what they want right away. Old Pagoda Tree nodded, but did not speak. Some of the teams also nodded one after another. After all, this was not the first time such a thing had happened, and they had long been used to it. We are leaving now, if there is anything else, you can call us again. Speaking of this group of trees, they lined up to leave them in an orderly manner. But the Lord of Wesley didn't look on calmly. If he wanted to resist Zhang Yang's attack, he had to make certain rebuttals. If he couldn't do it, he might still be in danger. I still know this situation very well. Although I don't know when Zhang Yang will come again, I have a certainty that he will attack again. When there is an attack, I will not let all these things become easy. After finishing this sentence, he immediately came to another place, which is a very secret place, and it is not easy to invade from here. Looking at the organs here and there, I smiled helplessly. I really didn't expect that the mechanism I made at the time would be useful one day. To be honest, I was still surprised by this use. But I am still very happy. I kept an extra mind at that time, otherwise I am really caught blind now. Zhang Yang, if you can survive this test, what if I give you this territory for free? You must know that it took me a lot of time to make this watermelon. It depends on you. Can it break through? Having said that, I want to go to Zhang Yang's territory to lure Zhang Yang over. Zhang Yang, where are you now? People who are used to aggression like them have a sensor. As long as they take these words, Zhang Yang can feel it. In fact, Zhang Yang is using him as his own weapon at this time. I don't know what the Lord of Washer means to find himself at this time. Do you want to let him occupy it in the past? This is really funny. Although I don't know what you are going to do, I can go there now, but you have to know that if I go there this time, it is very likely that the general will occupy the territory. Have you thought about it? Of course, Lord Wessel had thought about it. If he could break through this secret mechanism, what would it change? And he didn't even take back his own weapon. If you can, please bring back my weapon. I don't want you to leave with my weapon. You must know that it belongs to me. Zhang Yang smiled. He really didn't know what Lord Wessel was so stubborn about here. It was just a joke. I really don't understand what you are thinking. Compared with weapons, shouldn't territory be more important? But you are here to tell me that there are some things and nothing else. Lord Wessel didn't explain, because what he wanted didn't need to be explained at all, and he couldn't understand it. Even if he said everything clearly, he would not understand such a cold-blooded animal, and he would not know what he was thinking at all. You don't Zhao Zhaos need to know what I'm talking about. You hurry up and come here with weapons and people. I believe this time, we will fight to the death. If you can invade this territory, you can do whatever you want can. After finishing these words, he immediately saw him appear in front of him. Lord Wessel laughed out loud, but he didn't expect his speed to be as fast as ever. I really didn't expect your speed to be so fast. I have to admire it. Zhang Yang is famous for his speed, so he nodded his head when he said so. That's for sure. I'm famous for my speed. Didn't you say you want to fight me? Then, can I start now that I'm here? Of course you can start. Today I made a mechanism for you. As long as you can get out of here, you can do anything, but if you can't, you have to bow your head and admit your mistake. Chapter 234. What kind of tricks are you playing? Zhang Yang didn't know what kind of trick this person was playing again, but he still smiled and said, although I don't know what you are going to do, I am still willing to accept your challenge. What are you talking about? Do you think I'm afraid? You're just joking here. What tricks do you have? Just use it. Hearing what he said, Lord Wessel smiled, and was afraid of such a person who was not afraid of death. This institution actually looks very hidden, and I don't know why Lord Wessel is so proud. Do you think that such an institution can stop my progress? It's impossible, but don't forget what you promised me. If I can clean this place, then this territory will belong to me. Lord Hustle nodded his head. What can we change if a gentleman says something like that? You don't need to say it. I know what you want to express. Don't worry, as long as the facts are like this, even if I give up this place, so what? After all, I am not as capable as you. Although I have said this, I am really helpless. Zhang Yang also knows that there are some times when 687 cannot speak so powerfully. But so what? After all, they have their own ideas. It's useless to say more. Since you have made up your mind, don't blame me for being rude. You are responsible for all this. What happens is your own choice. That being said, what can I change? There is really no way, but I have nothing to say. When thinking this way, he shook his head. The Lord of Wessel really deserved his own fault and was dug by himself. What kind of feeling does this look like? I haven't experienced it yet. Lord Wessel, don't forget, I told you all this. After saying this sentence, he immediately shook his head, really not knowing what to say. Lord Vaser didn't know why he felt a little flustered. Thinking like this, but still cheered up and said, you don't have to say so much anymore, all of this is your own choice, what else can I say? But now these things, I can't change anymore, you understand? Zhang Yang nodded, knowing exactly what he was thinking. But so what? Nothing will change. I know what you think in your heart, but there is no way to change all of this, so I also hope that you can understand that there are some things that if they really change, it is useless for you to want to invade my territory. Now I will give you this chance, don't you want to fight for it? Of course Zhang Yang wants to fight for it, so as to give an explanation to the people around him. After all, the trees here cannot be destroyed. Since you have already spoken to this point, what reason do I have to refuse? If I pass this institution, don't forget the agreement between the two of us, and you have to act like a big man. Take responsibility for what you say. Lord Hustle nodded and did not speak again. After all, this was a solution he came up with after thinking for a long time. If he attacked by force, he would definitely not be able to protect his territory. I know that since I have spoken out, I have already made a decision, and I will pave all the back roads for you. If you can really occupy here, I have nothing to say. It's no use talking too much, Zhang Yang stepped down. When he saw the organ in front of him, he smiled helplessly, really not knowing what to say. There is nothing to say about the current situation. When I entered the agency, in order to take this territory as my own, I could only grit my teeth and persist. At the beginning, the situation inside was very obvious, and all the organs were exposed on their own initiative. Lord Ahca Shire looked outside, but there was an incomprehensible smile on the corner of his mouth. To know such a situation is really funny. While talking like this, let's see what else he can do. But when Lord Wessel was watching here, he suddenly discovered a very surprising thing. This person actually has clairvoyant eyes. When did Zhang Yang have such a powerful ability, and I don't know what to think about all this. He is so powerful that these organs have been eliminated without starting. How did you do it? You can't use such a skill, you are too hateful. Hearing what the other party said, Zhang Yang smiled. Before that, you didn't set me so much, so I don't want to hear what you say now, you should understand what I mean. Of course I can understand, but what can this change? It is impossible to occupy the territory. There is no way, I can only do other things. You want to occupy this place, I have nothing to say, don't forget, there are some things you want to change, this is impossible. The Lord of Wessel now regrets why he made such a crazy decision. This man is simply a lunatic, and his ability is definitely above his own. You can't do such a thing, this is my territory, this is my life, how can you do this? When he heard the other party say this, he smiled. Zhang Yang didn't know what he was talking about anymore, after all, such a decision was very good for him. If you say that, I have nothing to say. Leave other matters to you to deal with. Since there is no business for me now, I should pass this checkpoint. Then this territory is mine. Lord Husser regretted that Zhang Yang should not be allowed to do these things, because the weapon in his hand was too powerful. You must hide the Black Emperor now, only in this way can you do these things. I smiled, how is it possible? Not a fool, okay, you don't need to say any more. This is impossible, I'm not a fool, if you want to say this, I will listen to you. You can obediently wait for me to pass this level. In fact, these organs are still very obvious. As long as it is a normal person, it can basically break through and see it. I really don't understand how the Lord of Wesley came here, and I feel confident that this place is very powerful. You don't need to say any more. All this has nothing to do with me. I hope you can understand that if you say these things again, it will hurt your feelings for me. Chapter 235. When I heard the other party say this, I laughed. This man is really hateful, how could he be like this? Seeing this scene, although Lord Wessel was very angry, he couldn't help but think that the most important thing was in the back, and he could only wait here to watch the show. Zhang Yang, if you can come out alive, I am willing to give you everything, but if you die inside, don't say that I am cruel, after all, it was your choice before this. Of course I won't say anything else, after all, such a thing has nothing to do with me, Zhang Yang has chosen this path on his own initiative, so he must stick to it, no one can change his thoughts in his heart. You don't need to talk so much nonsense anymore. All of this is my own choice and has nothing to do with you. You just need to know that you will end up harming yourself after all the tricks are exhausted. 11. I laughed, it was just a joke here. What else can I say at this time? I can only increase my concentration and slowly look at the things in front of me. I found that the situation here is really different from what I thought. I always thought it was very easy, but I didn't think that the situation here was not as hard as I thought, so I fell in love with the mechanism too hard, and I didn't show it. It seems that I have to think about it. You can't be so despicable. Don't forget that all of this is your own choice. If you do such a thing here, it will be useless. If you say these things now, it will be very insensitive. Quote. Zhang Yang said this just to remind himself that he must pay more attention and not give up his thoughts just because of a few words others said. Lord Wesley laughed. This person is simply joking here. You don't need to talk so much nonsense anymore. What's the use of talking nonsense here? Let me tell you one last time. There are some things that you'd better make clear to yourself in advance. If you want to occupy this territory, you must to get out of here, you have to know that the most difficult time is when you get to the middle. After Lord Husser finished speaking, he closed the door, not wanting Zhang Yang to come out unless he went out through another exit. When you hear a bang bang, you know the door has been closed. I have no way out, I can only rush out from here, there is no other choice. Although I don't know why you do these things, I have nothing to say. You have to know that there is no other choice for all of this. When I thought about it, I smiled. I didn't say anything else, after all, such a thing has nothing to do with me. Now there is only one person left. Zhang Yang calmed down and looked at the scene in front of him. The environment here is very complicated, I really didn't expect to come to this dead end in 10 days. It seems that this man really wants to kill himself, but he will not let him do so. There is no way, I am like this, if I say something. Then it will be very serious, and you will regret it. What's the use of talking so much now? The most important thing is to get out of here first. If you can get out of here, other things are easy to talk about. If you can't get out, everything you do is nonsense. Do not say. At this moment, a hidden arrow suddenly rushed over. I only saw him quickly pick up the Black Emperor in his hand, waved his hand, and found that the two of them were in conflict with each other. To be honest, I was still very curious, and I had never seen it before. No matter what, I must find a way to get out of here. If I die here, it will be very serious. Thinking like this, I then thought, maybe there are many weapons like this, and I must find a way to change them. There must be a person here, but I haven't found where this person is yet, because I already feel his existence. You don't have to pretend to be stupid there. Let me tell you, I know you are here with me. You don't have to think that if you don't come out, I can't get out. Zhang Yang never imagined that one day he would fall into such a state, and it must be difficult to get out of here. But if I can't go out, I will regret it very much. After thinking about it for a long time, I still think of another way, which is to persevere. If I die here, it will definitely be very serious. 0. Seeking flowers. Shaking his head, if he wanted to invade a territory, he would definitely not risk his life, just like last time, this is impossible. The Dark Emperor shone brightly in the dark air, as if illuminating the entire cave. This secret passage was really very sinister. Fortunately, the Emperor sent out the light in time, otherwise he might have fallen into it. Lord Hussar is too sinister, how could he do such a despicable thing, and this pit, it seems that it is man-made. This man actually used such a method, because if he waited for him to go out, he would definitely be unable to eat and walk around in the future. Lord Hussar could actually see the situation inside from the outside, but he never expected that the Dark Emperor could still shine. He originally thought that the Emperor's sword could emit dazzling light. But this time, why didn't the Emperor's slaying sword appear? I still have some curiosity in my heart. Could it be that it has merged with the scattering soul fragrance? If it is true that the two weapons are crossed together, it will have very serious consequences. I don't know if this man can cooperate well. If the three weapons are combined into one, it will be the awakening of the world. It is impossible to rush out, and I am like a rookie. I really hope that these three weapons cannot be combined for the time being. If the combination is successful, if you want to occupy any territory, this is okay. After all, once the three weapons are combined, it will emit the most powerful force in the world, no one can stop it. I frowned tightly, I never thought that one day, I would come to the end of the road. All of these were persecuted by Zhang Yang, and he will definitely take revenge. Lord Hussar can manipulate the affairs inside from the outside, and these back arrows were originally put in by himself. I really didn't expect Zhang Yang to be able to dodge them. It seems that the Dark Emperor still has some skills, but so what, he is a very insidious man. It is impossible to kill the Lord of Hussar, and encroaching on one's own territory is equal to one's own dead end. Chapter 236 Suicide. I only saw the corner of his mouth slowly rising in a very conspiratorial arc. At this time, no one can change their minds. When I saw the Dark Emperor shining brightly, the Zondi sword also came out. The two of them will not get together for the time being. After all, there are more important things to do now. Once they get together, they will emit a very large explosive force, which will hurt Zhang Yang at that time. This is a scene that no one wants to see. I really didn't expect such a thing to happen. Your main task now is to break through this cave. Don't worry, you won't hurt me. I have body protection. Zhang Yang's body shield is still very powerful, and the general power will not hurt his branch. The situation is like this now. Once the blasting ability, very powerful weapons of 767, appear, then they will all produce a very powerful force, which is impossible to change, a reality they can only break through. While thinking this way, he shook his head. Such a situation is really embarrassing. The Dark Emperor actually made a sound at this time, and said that such a thing is impossible to achieve, and asked Zhang Yang to think of another way. It is impossible for them to erupt with a particularly strong force. Matter. What do you mean? Black Emperor shook his head, he had no way to say anything, a body danced wantonly in the air. Emperor Zhang Yang came out at this time, at first he didn't want any changes, but there was no way. Originally, the existence of the Emperor Zhang Yang was to kill Zhang Yang, but now this situation seems very impossible, this secret passage, if he can get out, it's okay, if he can't get out, he will die. Zhang Yang is very clear in his heart, the cruelty of this reality. But there is no way, since I have chosen this path, this territory must be taken down, and if everything belongs to my colleagues, there will be a lot of good things happening in the future. I want to cultivate a weapon also available anytime. The most important thing is that if they say they want to change and cultivate their own skills, they can completely use them here. When Zhang Yang was thinking this way, he gritted his teeth and decided to go out from here, that was for sure. I don't know what you are going to say, but let me tell you, if we take this territory as our own, then everything we do in the future will be very easy, but if we lose it, then everything we will do in the future will be very easy difficult, and there is no good spiritual body. After saying this, I believe they can all understand what they mean, and the combination of the Black Emperor and Zondi sword will be able to walk out from here. The reason why scattering soul fragrance didn't come is because he needs to practice now, and he can use it only after he cultivates the weapon, scattering soul fragrance, until it belongs to Zhang Yang completely. Otherwise it will hurt others. Although I don't know what you are thinking, but I tell you now, if we lose our defense here, we will suffer a lot of damage, do you understand what I mean? Although the words are said like this, I can understand, but what can I do? I have nothing to say. You don't need to say any more. I know what you mean, but what can you do? If you want to break through here, you must pay a lot of effort. Are you sure you want to do this? You will most likely die dropped. Zhang Yang thought about it carefully, hesitated for a while, but still nodded. You don't need to say anything, I know what you want to express, don't worry, as long as I can break through from here, even if I have to pay the price of half my life, I am willing, we must go out from here. Hearing Zhang Yang's firm tone, the two weapons nodded. Since the master has already said so, they still have nothing to hesitate. Since the conversation has come to this point, the two of us have nothing to hesitate, we fit together. But at this time, it is very difficult for them to fit together, because there is no sunlight here, and it is as difficult as climbing to the sky to want to fit together. If they want to break through from here, I am afraid they will face new difficulties. They must think clearly. Now Zhang Yang suddenly felt a kind of power in his body, constantly breaking through here, but he felt a feeling of difficulty breathing. What exactly is going on? Why was there never such a situation before? What is going on here today? Zhang Yang had fear for the first time. Is he going to die here? How is it possible that I would never allow such a thing to happen? It was too difficult. Such a suffocating feeling kept attacking his heart. To be honest, Zhang Yang was already panicking now. Don't know where to go from here. The entire cave became dark instantly, and he wanted to get out from here. I'm afraid it's really more difficult than climbing to the sky. He frowned tightly. Zhang Yang couldn't think of a way. The two weapons also instantly dimmed due to lack of sunlight. This is the first time for Zhang Yang to encounter such a situation, the first time to fight in a completely dark situation. I really didn't expect to pay such a heavy price to conquer a weapon, a territory, and no one can come to help me. Zhang Yang knew that he had to rely on his own ability to get out of here, but the situation was too complicated, and it was really difficult for him to get out. I had no other choice, so I had to think of a way, and that was to make fire from a tree. If there is really a way to create light, then he can go out, but if there is no way, he can only use the energy of his body to do these things and combine the two weapons. Only in this way can I go out from here, even if I consume some physical strength compared to death, what can I do? While still thinking like this, he then slowly moved out the power in his body and placed it on the nearby tree. Fortunately, there was some light just now, so I found some branches and kept an eye on it. Otherwise, I really don't know what to do now. After hesitating for a long time, he finally moved all these abilities to this tree. After a while, this tree shone brightly, and it seemed that he had succeeded. It seems that I should really thank you for this temporary idea, or I will really die here. Zhang Yang smiled, still feeling very comforted. Chapter 237. Treasure from Heaven. The situation is very complicated now, and it may be impossible for Lord Wessel to get out of here in a short while. I can only think of another way. But it's not that simple. The more they think about the simplicity of many things, the more they have no way to deal with them, because this is really a trick. I have nothing to say, this is a magical character. It's really embarrassing for the Lord of Messer, how could he think of such a pervert method? Just when Zhang Yang felt that he couldn't get out, suddenly a car came into the cave. The light is really bright and eye-catching. Just like the colorful rainbow of Madara, people can't hide their eyes when they see it. It really makes people linger and forget to return, and they can even feel a magical power from it. Although I don't know what this is for, but I know very well in my heart that this light is too dazzling, and I don't know how powerful it is. Aren't you curious? Now I can let you know why I am here. I don't know what happened to 07, but suddenly a woman's voice came from next to my ear. Zhang Yang wanted to ask if there was anyone around but found that there was nothing, but there was a voice imagining here. You don't need to look for where I am. I'm here, I just have a very important thing to tell you. It's not so easy for you to get out of here, you have to do one thing. Zhang Yang frowned, not knowing what to do. If there is something that I need to do to get me out of here, then I am very willing, and I hope you will be taught. Zhang Yang knew very well in his heart that no matter what the purpose of this person coming here, as long as he could help him get out of here, it would be very good. Since you are so sincere, I am willing to tell you everything I know, and I will give you a treasure in a while, and if you use it well, you can get out from here. If that's the case, that'd be great. Are you telling the truth? Zhang Yang was still a little curious, wondering why this person helped him for no reason. You can choose not to believe it, because if you don't believe me, there is nothing you can do, but I will still do this, even if you don't believe it in your heart, I will only do it all according to what I think in my heart. Hearing what the other party said, Zhang Yang nodded. I didn't say anything else. It is really not easy to make a breakthrough here. But Zhang Yang knew very well that he had to get out of here today, because there were still many things to change. If you don't change it now, it is very likely that you will encounter great changes. Every time I think of this place, of course I must get this treasure in my hand, and then go out from here smoothly, even if there are difficult things to do. Don't worry, I will definitely succeed. Zhang Yang was talking to himself, and after saying this, he left here immediately. I need to go to another place to accept the treasure properly. Because I know very well in my heart that if I want to take the treasure as my own, I must work hard, and I must not allow it to be indulged. When thinking about this, he frowned tightly. I really didn't expect that one day, such a thing would happen. To be honest, I feel very helpless now. It's more about not knowing what to do. I never thought that one day I would be controlled by others. To be honest, this feeling is really quite novel. Seeing a luminous body in front of him, Zhang Yang approached slowly, wondering if this was a trick done by Lord Wessel. But I still went in and found that it was a wooden stick. I really didn't know what's so good about this thing. At this time, I suddenly realized that it is definitely not that easy and simple to get close to this thing. His light is like a thorn that can hurt others, it is very dangerous. I have never encountered such a thing. I didn't think that I couldn't get out from here, it's fine, but now I encountered this even more troublesome thing, that is, I wanted to get something from here, and found that this treasure didn't belong to me at all. This is the most uncomfortable thing. Zhang Yang thought for a long time, not knowing what method he should use to get out from here. I hesitated for a while, and finally decided to use another method, which is to take out the Dark Emperor, to see if the two can be restrained. If it is really possible, then I can continue. If not, then I can only go to other methods now to see if there is a better solution. Away. After all, I have to go out from here today. If I can't get out, the Lord of Wessel will become even more rampant. I have just occupied 2 territories with great difficulty, and if I did not go out because of this time, then, the Lord of Wessel will have the right to use the 2 territories by himself. This is really a sad thing. The Black Emperor will leave all this to you now, whether you can do it or not depends on your own ability. Hearing what the other party said, Black Emperor nodded. If it wasn't for the fact that Zondi 137 sword wasn't here, I would definitely have a fight with him. Don't worry, I can handle it here. Of course, I never thought that the Dark Emperor would be so reliable one day, and I was still very moved. Watching the Black Emperor slowly rise into the sky, emitting a dazzling light, to be honest, at this moment, I was a little moved in my heart. I don't know what method should be used to do such a thing. After all, to be honest, I feel very helpless when I see such a situation. I don't know what method to use to express my current mood, because it's very complicated, and I don't know what to say. Seeing that treasure slowly lose its luster, Zhang Yang feels that it's almost time, and he might go up to it. But at this time, I had another thought. If he walked up at this time, he might still hurt himself, so wait a little longer. The Black Emperor came down slowly, and said to Zhang Yang, you can go up to have a look now. Although Zhang Yang had doubts in his heart, he didn't say it out. After all, he believed in the ability of the Dark Emperor, so he was asked to do this thing. When I walked up, I found that this treasure had completely lost its ability. To be honest, I was very happy. Chapter 238 Fate should be like this. Zhang Yang hasn't been this happy for a long time, and the thoughts in his heart are also very moving. No one can replace the touch the Dark Emperor gave me. Okay, I really didn't expect you to be so powerful. To be honest, I'm in a very good mood now. With this thing, we can leave here. Black Emperor nodded, and then returned to his body. Now is not the time to joke, they need to pull together and get out of here together. Taking the treasure into his hands, Zhang Yang didn't know how to use it at first, after all, this was his first time touching such a thing. But at this moment, I suddenly discovered a very strange button. What will happen if I press this button? I haven't tried it myself, but I really want to try it now. When I slowly touched it, I found that there is still a very strange place here. To be honest, this button makes people look very curious. We waited for a while and finally decided to give it a try. After all, I have never encountered such a thing before, and it is still very curious to feel this way suddenly. Not long after he set off, he saw this treasure emitting a strong red light in all directions. He had never encountered such a situation before, but he seemed to have clairvoyant eyes, and he passed through him. This is really a very strange phenomenon, but I don't know what to say, I can only hide for a while, see what happens in a while, and then say it. Not long after I saw it, this cave felt crumbling. Zhang Yang's first thought was that they wouldn't throw themselves in it. If that was the case, then they needed to hurry up and run away. Otherwise they will die here, and it will be miserable. What the hell is going on here? Why is there such an amazing thing all of a sudden? Zhang Yang couldn't figure it out, but still shook his head. In such a situation, I am really curious. However, I still seem to be very promising now. It is not impossible to break through here and it will collapse soon. They need to find a very reliable place now, hide for a while, and come out later. If you don't hide at this time, it is very likely that your life will be in danger. This piece of territory has not been taken by yourself, and you are absolutely not allowed to have any accidents. No one can let this happen to you. When thinking this way, he frowned tightly. Looking at the situation in front of me, I really didn't expect it. Before Zhang Yang noticed it, the cave in the distance had collapsed. If you don't run away at this time, it is very likely that you will smash yourself in, but you can't run out after all the tricks in front of you. So what should we do now? Zhang Yang was in a dilemma for a while. I'm curious, did you dig a hole for yourself and bury it? It's really disgusting, and now I have to think of a way. Otherwise, I don't even know how to die, and running out from here is a very difficult thing. When I was thinking this way, I suddenly found that there was an open hole there, waiting for me to run out. To be honest, I didn't expect such a spectacle. Zhang Yang ran over without thinking, after all, the current situation is very complicated. Just came out to breathe the fresh air, and Lord Wessel, who had been watching outside, was very shocked when he found out that they had come out. It's more of disbelief. How did you do it? How can you get out of here? It's really impossible, it's unbelievable. I have spent my entire life working hard to create this mechanism. I still laughed out loud when I heard Lord Washer say this. This is simply a joke. Is he really that powerful? He is simply too proud. All of this is his own ability. You don't need to think that you are very powerful. I can tell you clearly that you are responsible for all this, and today's result is also the sin you committed for yourself. Even though I have said this, I still have some embarrassment. Lord Hustle, don't forget what you promised me just now. As a man, since you said it, you must understand what I mean. I shook my head. Of course I can understand, but what can this change? I don't want to listen. You don't need to say any more. I don't want to hear what you said at all, so what can I do? Lord Wessel is very angry now. Do you really want to contribute all of this? This is the painstaking effort of my life. Backquote. I have worked hard all my life to obtain this territory. Are you really so cruel? What's not to be cruel about yourself? You don't need to say so much anymore. You have to blame for all this. If you don't say those words, maybe I will give you a way out. You can choose, but what you say is too deadly and absolute. Having said that, Zhang Yang can't make this matter so absolute. Although I have said it, you can't be so absolute about it all. Have you forgotten the relationship between the two of us? Of course I know it well, but what can this change? Absolutely impossible. Okay, you don't need to say any more. Now I have nothing to say. What you want to do has nothing to do with me. After saying this sentence, I want Lord Wesser to leave here as soon as possible without wasting any more time. What's the use of talking so much? Now I know very well in my heart that everything I want to do is useless. Okay. You don't need to say any more. All you have done now is useless. You hurry up and get out of here, so that we can get together. You can go to another territory. Your weapon I don't know back to you. After hearing this, Lord Wessel laughed out loud. Was he joking with himself? Are you kidding me? Zhang Yang didn't joke around with Lord Wesser, because he knew it very well in his heart. You don't have to think so much. All this is a decision I made after careful consideration. I believe it will be of great benefit to both of us. When I heard him say that, I smiled. This person is simply a ruthless depriver. You have gone too far. You have said all this with peace of mind. Do you know that if you do this, it will cause such a big consequence? You are really abominable. 17. Of course I can know, but so what? Chapter 239 Resignation. I know what you want to express, but all of this is useless to me, because what I want to do has nothing to do with you, so what you want to do has nothing to do with me. Hearing what he said, he shook his head. It is true, but so what? I have no other choice now. It is impossible for me to leave here voluntarily. There is only one choice, and that is you kill me, and I will leave after you kill me. Zhang Yang smiled helplessly. He would have guessed that he would definitely not do what he said, so he kept his hand. Are you sure you won't do what I say? Zhang Yang went to ask again, wanting to get a final answer. If he really wanted to do this, then he couldn't blame himself for being rude. Of course I'm going to do this. It's impossible for you to want me to give up. This is my territory. What's the matter with you? You don't want to feel good about yourself every day, okay? I really laughed. This joke is simply too big. I have nothing to say. Zhang Yang didn't know what to say anymore. After all, he was in the realm of being a rascal, and he had reached a certain level. What else could he say? Since I am 180 at this time, there is no way to change myself. I can only persevere. No matter what happens, there must be a way for him. When thinking about this, he frowned tightly. I can't say anything else. If you really can't leave, then I have no other choice, but I'll tell you those who regret it later, but don't blame me for not speaking clearly. Of course I know, he made these words very clear, but what can be changed? Don't worry, since you have already said these words clearly, then I don't want to say anything, I just tell you one thing, so don't regret it. Zhang Yang definitely has no regrets. I only heard Lord Washer seriously say, if you want to conquer this place, you still need to pay a lot of price. You must think carefully about it yourself. After all, this place is not something that you can occupy if you want it. You understand? I nodded and didn't say anything else, because I knew very well in my heart that some words were not what I thought at all. You don't need to say any more. I know what you're thinking. This AHCE thing is a waste of time and mood. Zhang Yang directly stopped the man and told him not to talk anymore. It was useless to talk too much. But the Lord of Wesley didn't know why, so he couldn't say a word. Now I have nothing to do in this situation, and I don't know what to say. This territory, Zhang Yang said very seriously in his heart that this territory must belong to him. Lord Hustle, the reason why I said these things to you here is because I feel that you are very pitiful, so I told you, but I didn't expect that since you trampled on me again and again. Patience. After Zhang Yang finished speaking, he directly arrested Lord Wesser. I gave you face and you don't want it, so don't blame me for being rude. Directly violate all the dignity of this man, leaving him nowhere to escape. When it came down like this, I gritted my teeth. Lord Hustle, don't think that it's okay for you to be unreasonable here. There's nothing wrong with it. Let me tell you that you're just dreaming here. No matter what happens to me today, you have to make an explanation. Lord Husser smiled. Zhang Yang was simply joking there, asking himself to voluntarily hand over the right to use this territory. This is impossible, it is like a dream. Zhang Yang, you don't need to talk nonsense here. Do you think it is possible for me to give you this thing? It was impossible before, so you don't have to say it anymore. When I heard him say that, I shook my head. It was really funny. You are a big man, but you don't even believe what you said. Don't you think it's funny? I'll tell you one last time, no matter what happens today, you must give me what belongs to me. I laughed. How is it possible? Are you dreaming here? How could I give it to you? Hearing the other party say this, he smiled like this. He might have guessed it a long time ago, and he is used to doing such things. After all, it is normal for a person like him to cheat. I have already guessed that you would do such a thing, but let me tell you, don't forget that we have a criterion for judging. If you have been cheating here, then this place also belongs to me. In fact, there is a reason for the old lady to say this, because there is a very formal trial standard here, and if there is a mistake, everything will be lost. You are simply joking with me here. You clearly know that doing such a thing is slandering me here, but you still did it too much. Lord Hussar was very angry. He didn't expect him to be so cunning, using such a method to blacken himself. You don't need to say that I'm too much here. If you do these things according to what you said, I can't treat you in this way. Zhang Yang just wanted to obtain the right to use this territory. He had no other ideas, and hoped that he could believe in himself. You don't need to say any more. I understand this matter very well, but if you choose again and again, then I have no other way. Hearing what the other party said, he shook his head helplessly. It's just too funny. Are you kidding yourself? Seeing this, Lord Hussar should understand in his heart that he had already thought up such a plan to insidiously come to injure himself. Lord Wessel, you are so abnormal. After Zhang Yang said this sentence, he immediately took the territory by force. The Lord of Wessel never thought that this man would still be so powerful. To be honest, I'm still a little surprised, but I'm more sad that I finally got the territory, and it was released so easily. After going too far, it must be very difficult to get it again, not to mention that I don't have any weapons now. How can I get these things? You don't have to think about it. It is impossible for you to get our weapons at this time. I advise you to do what you should do now. It has nothing to do with me. From now on, you and I will have nothing to do with each other. Quote. What this guy said was really simple. But how can I do it myself? Chapter 240. The Strange Thoughts of Lord Wessel. Zhang Yang, I am willing to give you this territory, but can you give me a chance to stay here for a few more days? Zhang Yang didn't know what kind of tricks this man was thinking, but he still nodded. After all, he couldn't kill them all. Since you have said so, then I am willing to give you this chance. You must grasp it well. If you can't grasp it, then I have no other way. You should understand very well that there are some things it is not something that you and I can control, and the right to use the territory is very different from mine to you. Even so, I don't want to admit it. You don't need to say any more. This matter has nothing to do with me. I hope you can understand that there are some things. Once you make a decision, there is no way to go back. I can let you stay here for another 2 days, but you have to get out of here in 2 days. Zhang Yang still has his own ideas, and no matter what he says, he must hurry up and get out of here now. After thinking about it this way, I continued to say, although I don't know what you are going to say now, I can leave here now and give you 2 days to prepare to leave. I hope that when I come next time, you will be able to take care of all this. Clean it all up. After Zhang Yang finished speaking, he left immediately. As soon as he returned to his territory, the people around him hurried up. Boss, do you really trust that man? He said nothing. The truth. Of course I don't believe it, do I? It's useless even if you don't believe it, because if that man really doesn't give him territory, they have no choice but to wait here. I know what you are worried about, but there is no way. If we don't do this, then we will never get it. Give him a period of time to buffer, and I will look at the results later. It seems that the boss really thinks more than himself, and then nodded, as worthy of being his boss. There is a big difference in doing things from him. Boss, you are really amazing. Why didn't we think of it before? After this, we will really respectfully call you the boss. We will leave here today, and you can order anything else. Zhang Yang shook his head. His weapon was upgraded too fast at this time, and he really didn't think about what he should do now. No matter what, when you want to upgrade, you must pay some price. If the upgrade is unsuccessful, then, Dark Emperor, and, Zondi's sword, will have big ideas. In fact, at this time, the Dark Emperor already had a personal idea. Just like this time, if it wasn't because of the emergency, they would never have come out. There is another very important thing, that is, there is a lot of aura in that territory. Every time they see this situation, they are very curious. Now the Dark Emperor is constantly swaying in the air. The shining light makes him feel helpless. I don't even know what to do. This Dark Emperor himself is a little out of control now, but this has never happened before. What exactly do you want to do? You should be very clear in your heart. Now we have to take back the territory, so as to get a large group. As a result, you have done these things again and again. What is your purpose? Black Emperor smiled, but did not speak. Because it's useless to say it, but I have another idea in my heart. It seems that this master can come to an end. You must be very clear about what I want to do, but let me tell you, you have to cooperate with me to do one thing now. If you can agree, then it's easy to say anything. If you can't agree to anything, it's hard to say anything. After the Black Emperor said this sentence, he immediately transformed into a human form. To be honest, I never thought that he would be able to become what he is today. What the hell are you going to do? Who are you? Aren't you my weapon? Why do you suddenly look like a human? Hearing his trembling voice, laughing with the Emperor, he was originally alone. It's just that this stupid human has never discovered it. It's very exciting to think this way. It seems that in the future, we can play more games like this. Zhang Yang, you don't need to say any more. The reason why I came here is that you understand very well in your heart. If you continue like this, you will definitely collapse. You also know that the situation on the side of Lord Vaser is very complicated. The vegetation and living beings there have recognized you as their master. Do you understand this matter? If it wasn't because the Dark Emperor suddenly said Zhang Yang to himself, he wouldn't know it now. How do you know all this? You don't have to lie to me, because those living beings have never seen me. How could they recognize me as their master? Black Emperor laughed, really don't know what to say about the man in front of him. Should he be called stupid? Do you think everyone is as stupid as you? There are some things that don't need to be seen at all, and the results can be understood directly by feeling, but you think everything is so complicated. 0. Zhang Yang didn't understand what it meant. Could it be that they have a special ability? Why can't you explain it to yourself? What do you mean? My own meaning is of course very simple. You don't have to worry about what I mean, you just need to know what I should do now. If you do those annoying things like before, don't blame me for being rude, it's all your fault, I got it myself. Zhang Yang smiled. I really don't understand what he said here, why I can't understand a word. What are you talking about? Why can't I understand? If you do this again, I really don't know what to say to you. When Zhang Yang said this, he originally hoped that the Dark Emperor could explain it to him, but he found that he didn't even have the desire to say it. Shaking his head helplessly, after all, this matter is really helpless, what can he say now? Do you want to explain to you like I do now? You are so stupid, there are some things you need to think for yourself, why do you always ask me to explain to you? I smiled when I heard him say that. Zhang Yang was really laughed at by this person was simply joking here, this is not his weapon at all. Chapter 241 Change. Although I don't know who you are, I tell you that if you hold my weapon, you must pay the price. I laughed out loud when I heard him say that. The Dark Emperor didn't expect this person to be so rampant. Zhang Yang, I advise you to hold on when you have something to say, and you must pay attention to your own skills. If you lose me, you are nothing. Although these words are said in this way, there is no way. I really don't know how to change. I have never been afraid of invading territory. But when the Dark Emperor transformed into a human being, I really didn't know what choice to make. Should I fight him to the end? I don't know why you became what you are today, and I don't know who injected the 397 Dao into your body. I want to tell you, don't forget, you have been with me since you were a child, and I put it into your body. You were brought up to be what you are today. Of course the Dark Emperor knew about it, but what could this change? Do you feel so great? I tell you that this is impossible. Whether you are great or not has nothing to do with me. What does it have to do with me if you are willing to cultivate me? Don't forget, we the two complement each other. Without me, you would not be able to achieve what you are today. Even if Zhang Yang died, he never thought that one day he would have a dispute with his own weapon. What do you want to say to me now? Do you want to tell me how powerful you are, and want me to obey your arrangement? Let me tell you, this is impossible. Zhang Yang has his own backbone and arrogance, it is impossible to let this person dominate. You don't have to think that this is impossible. Let me tell you, even if I am out of your body now, you can't feel it yourself. If you don't believe me, you can try it. Zhang Yang didn't want to try it, because he felt that this person was a little strange, not like the one he knew. I think the time is almost up. I need to see what kind of decision the Lord of Wessel has made now. I don't have time to chat with you. If you know that you plan to change, then I have no choice. After all, this everything is your own choice. Zhang Yang said so, and then planned to leave here, but he didn't expect that the Dark Emperor would not allow it. Until a reasonable explanation is given for this matter, you can't go anywhere in that territory. As long as I'm not around, all creatures will not recognize you. If you don't believe me, you can go and have a look. When I heard what they said, I smiled helplessly, it was just a joke here. Do you think I believe what you said? That's impossible, I can't believe it. Hearing what they said, I shook my head, whether I believe it or not, what can I say? Although I don't know what you want me to do, but if you really say it, I might agree. In the end, Zhang Yang really had no other choice, so he said this request, hoping that he could understand. Your thinking is too simple. I really didn't think about what to ask you to do. If you invade other territories, I can accompany you, but you must agree to my request. The reason why the Dark Emperor said this is because they have recently received a lot of danger signals. There were too many places where they were intimate before. At this time, the lords from all over the world want to gather together. If this is the case, then Zhang Yang is in mortal danger. What do you want me to promise? You can just say no, why are you hesitating and haggling? Zhang Yang was originally an impatient person, but when he heard that his weapon was negotiating conditions with him here, he still said such things, of course he was very angry. When seeing his master getting angry here, the Dark Emperor smiled helplessly. In order to let this person live safely, what can he do even if he misunderstood himself? If you think this, you can be happier, then you can continue, but I still say that what you want to do, you must obey my arrangement. Is he joking with himself here? What does it mean to obey his arrangements? What does it matter if you have yourself? Can you stay out of my affairs? Of course what he did has something to do with him, if not, how could he say this? You don't need to say it. If the things you do have nothing to do with me, and it's impossible for me to say these things, I hope you can understand that everything you do now has a lot to do with me. Do you understand? I smiled, and to be honest, I really didn't understand what he was talking about. The words you said just made me helpless, and I didn't understand. You just said it outright. Zhang Yang really didn't want to talk nonsense with this weapon, but the Dark Emperor refused to let him leave here. Seeing that he has been stubbornly not accepting his own opinion, this is the most uncomfortable thing. I want to tell you that you are very dangerous now, and you may die at any time. Can you understand what I mean? Zhang Yang is not a fool. Hearing what he said, one can understand. Could it be that some lords want to kill themselves? What are you trying to say? Are you trying to tell me that someone is trying to kill me? It seems that Zhang Yang is not a fool, and he still understands what he means. I always thought you were stupid. It seems that you should understand when I say this. It is indeed the case, because I have received a lot of messages recently, and they all want to hurt you. Don't feel like you have nothing to do every day. Things. 4.8 inches. When he heard what they said, Zhang Yang smiled, and the smile was mostly ridicule and disdain. It's not the first day you followed me, do you think I'll be scared? If I'm really scared, how can I say these words? You should know what I'm talking about. Of course I know that the reason why the Emperor wants to say it now is because the people who came are too fierce, and the maliciousness is obvious. If there is an accident at this time, it is very unlikely that he will die all over his body. I know what you're talking about, but you should also understand that there are many things that I can't do just as you say, but now you have to change the plan, and if you don't change it, you will pay a high price. Hearing what he said, he shook his head helplessly. This thing is really distressing. Chapter 242, A Perfect Plan. Zhang Yang didn't expect that one day, they would come to the end of the road. To be honest, he was still very helpless. Many times now they have no way to choose to change, even if the Dark Emperor has spoken to the point where he is today, he has no way to change, because he knows it very well. If it really changed, then I have no way to choose. When thinking like this, I shook my head, and then said that there are still many things to do, and I don't have time to wait now, so I must persist. I don't know what you are thinking, but there is no reason to refuse this matter. I hope you can understand that many things must be changed. When Zhang Yang said this, he was very serious, because he knew very well in his heart that if they choose to give up at this time, their situation will be very pitiful. I only heard the Black Emperor say very seriously, I am your weapon, your right-hand man, and I don't want you to keep doing it even though you know the road ahead is very difficult, because I know very well in my heart that only you persist in changing your current path, and you will be able to gain something. 07. Although he knows his weapon very well in his heart, it is impossible to deceive himself, but Zhang Yang also has his own stubbornness, and it is absolutely impossible to change his course just because of a trivial matter. Okay, you don't need to say any more, I won't listen to you, because the two of us are not in the same direction at all, what's the use of talking so much, now we can only move on. Having said that, but what can I change? Thinking of myself like this, I then shook my head. I know what you're thinking here, but you also need to understand that if I choose to give up at this time, there will be many people who will take my place, and I don't want you to change it. Hearing what he said, Zhang Yang nodded. He did have this idea in his heart, but he couldn't change it. What else could he say? Say nothing. If you insist on this direction, then don't blame me. After all, you have many roads to go, but I tell you, if you go back now, to the territory of the grass and trees, you will definitely die very badly. Miserable, because the man has already agreed. Maybe others couldn't understand what the Dark Emperor was saying, but Zhang Yang heard it very clearly, and he knew very clearly in his heart that this person was warning himself. After all, Lord Were he was a very wretched man. I know what you are talking about, but you gave me a chance to try. This territory is very important to me. We have discussed it for a long time. I don't want our efforts to go to waste. Although it is indeed true to say this, the Dark Emperor is still very worried. Lord Were he is a sinister and cunning man. I really don't know what Zhang Yang thought at that time. Why did he have to give him a chance to start over? Isn't this asking for trouble for yourself? I really don't know how you should describe it. I am very helpless now, but since you have chosen this path, I will choose to help you go on. You should find a time for us to combine our 3 swords. To be honest, 3 swords combined, Zhang Yang has not thought about it, but once they form a team, whether they can control it is a very important issue. I really don't know what to say. I thought about it before we met, but you know, if you really form a team, do you think you can still be controlled by me? The 3 of you may already have I said, will you still listen to me? Although the reality is like this, they cannot refuse to listen again and again. The combination of their 3 swords is really very important. 3 swords is a very serious matter for others, and I don't know what Zhang Yang thinks, why would he refuse? Although I don't know what you think, but I can understand that your thoughts are very important, you have your responsibilities, and I can't say anything more, but I hope you will be considerate when making all decisions. Zhang Yang nodded seriously, of course he would think it over clearly, after all, he would also think that everything would never disappoint their expectations of him. When thinking like this, he nodded seriously, and then glanced at the vast territory. He was very satisfied in his heart. One day, he will dig in this territory again, and let more people know that he is a very powerful no one can compare with their abilities. Thinking of this, the corners of Zhang Yang's mouth showed a very happy smile, he hadn't been this happy for a long time. No matter what, I must stick to the path I chose. When I was thinking this way, I said to the Dark Emperor, all good and evil will change at this moment. What you have to do, if you persist with you can rest assured that as long as we are together, all enemies will be defeated. Of course Zhang Yang believed it, because they had such strength that no one could stop them. Okay, let's go to another place to have a look now. Lord Werhe's piece of land will definitely be captured by 590. Don't worry, as long as I'm here, there's nothing we can't do. Zhang Yang is not so ambitious, but he has such an ability, why should he be humble? And Lord Werhe has already promised to himself, why not do it? How could it be so? Zhang Yang is very confident. They thought about it for a long time. The territory of Lord Werhe brought them the most things, that is aura, and there are many creatures here. If they absorb the aura here, it must be very important. When thinking like this, Click nodded. I really didn't expect that one day, they would end up like today. Although I don't know why, I feel that there is a piece of land in the south that we can enjoy in the past. Do you have such a feeling? When I heard him say that, I nodded, and I really felt that way. I don't know why, but this feeling is still very strong. Okay, let's go and have a look now. To be honest, I don't know how to change it, but we should all understand it now. When I heard them say that, I shook my head, but didn't know what to say. After all, there is still a big difference between himself and the Dark Emperor. Chapter 243 No Choice. And now I don't have too many choices, he is like a partner, always by my side. Sometimes when he is alone, he will choose to be alone to chat with him. When facing the enemy, he will become a weapon to protect himself. To be honest, I am really touched in my heart. Why are you so nice? Before, I never thought that one day, I would meet such a person, and now I am really happy to meet him. Hearing Zhang Yang's squeamish words, the Dark Emperor shook his head. If you say these words again, then I will not listen, I will leave here directly, or become a weapon, coldly, it depends on how you talk to me. I then shook my head, of course not. Okay, you don't need to talk about this matter anymore. To be honest, I really didn't expect that we would change our direction now. There is another very important reason why Zhang Yang wants to change to the south, that is, there is a very strong sunlight that is suitable for himself and the people around him to live there. Every time I think like this, I feel very proud in my heart, as long as I can choose a suitable place, even if I pay a lot, I am willing. Although I don't know what you think, but I can tell you responsibly that the place in the south is very suitable for the existence of people like us, and it will also be of great help to our bodies, so you believe me choosing there is the best option for us. Dark Emperor nodded, whether it was him or not, he still believed in him. I believe in every choice you make, otherwise I wouldn't be able to accompany you to find a place here, wouldn't I? I just need you to understand one thing, before you do anything, you must ensure your own safety. Of course I will guarantee it, what is the difficulty? Then nodded, as long as it's something you want to do, I'll be with you. Let's go and have a look now. We should go to Lord Werhe's territory first. Zhang Yang thought about it carefully and thought that it was the same wherever he went, so he nodded. Where you want to go, you can tell me in advance, as long as it is a place where I can go, I will accompany you, but you have to promise me one thing. Although he didn't know what to promise, he still nodded, after all, he had nothing to say. Okay, I don't have anything to say, let's go and take a look now, after all, the two of us are really boring. Zhang Yang originally wanted to cultivate his body well, but he didn't expect the Dark Emperor to suddenly change into a person, and he was still a little surprised in his heart. After they came to this territory, they found that there was no one here at all. They were still very curious seeing this scene, why did this happen? Is this a wasteland? It seems unlikely. What happened here really makes people curious, resulting in infinite exploration. But when I was about to walk in, I heard a siren. Lord Werhe saw a lot of red lights around him, flickering here and there, and felt very helpless in his heart. What is this for? Are you performing a military exercise here? It's really a medical practice. Although I don't know what you are doing here, I can clearly say that if you want to hurt me, it is impossible. I advise you to hurry up and let me go in and take a look. I will not take this actor. No one would believe what Zhang Yang said, because Zhang Yang was a bandit in the hearts of each of them, a real bandit. I will warn you one last time, as long as you get out and don't trample on our territory, you are not qualified. Hearing someone talking here suddenly, he laughed. It seemed that someone was really watching here. If someone really watched and wouldn't let him in, then it would increase the difficulty of the game, and he would want to continue playing even more. If you don't show up, then don't blame me for breaking in by myself. You don't know that I have my own weapons. Do you think you can stop me? It's just a joke here. Of course I can stop him, anyone can understand this is my own territory, how could I let others in? Zhang Yang is very arrogant, because he has this ability, he doesn't care about other things. I really didn't expect that you would set up a trap for me here. Do you think there is an invisible barrier here, so I won't go in? You are just joking here, and you really look down on me. Zhang Yang laughed out loud, why is this guardian so funny, he thinks that his ability can't break through this obstacle. But when I was thinking about these things, this obstacle suddenly appeared, with a great violent force. To be honest, I have never encountered such a situation before, and I was very surprised and excited at the same time. Of course I feel very happy to meet myself for the first time. But I don't know when the Dark Emperor left long ago, so he changed into a weapon to protect himself. When thinking like this, I immediately smiled, it seems that this situation is more complicated than I thought. I have to find a way to face it, if I can't persist like this anymore, I will definitely be hurt by then. Who the hell are you? Why don't you dare to come out? Let me tell you, If you don't come out, you will definitely regret it later. Nuo Dahao, because our team just wants you to know that what you are doing now, all of this is our own fault, and we will definitely guard this place back. Zhang Yang is very arrogant, because they are occupying and opening up new land, but also to protect the safety of one side of the land. Every time I think about it like this, I feel very happy in my heart. It seemed that this time he was going to succeed again, because if this guardian did not dare to show up, it proved that he was afraid of himself in his heart. Although Zhang Yang knew that it was inappropriate for him to do so, there was nothing he could do about it, just like Lord were he, even if he was afraid of himself, what could he change? Didn't he also want to contribute the territory? If you really don't want to come out, then I won't force you, but you will regret it. After Zhang Yang said this sentence, he led all the creatures around him away. Chapter 244 Go back. Although they are invisible, I can understand their existence. Every time I think like this, I feel very satisfied. As long as I have them by my side, this is a very happy thing. No one can change my thoughts. Although I don't know what you are thinking, but I understand very well that if you don't want to give up, you must make changes, and if you want to change, you must pay the price, so when I think this way, my heart also very satisfying. When he said this, he nodded immediately, although they didn't expect such a situation to happen, they still smiled and said, I really don't know what to say, but now I can also understand that many things may not be what I think is so complicated. I hope you can do one very important thing now, and that is to change according to what I said. When I heard what they said, I immediately shook my head. I really don't know what this man is talking to himself here. Could it be that he is talking to someone else? You are talking to yourself. I tell you, stop talking here, hurry up and get out of here. This place of right and wrong is not suitable for your existence. If you continue like this, don't blame me for being rude. He immediately shook his head at 130, whether he was polite or not had nothing to do with him. If you really want to say this, then I have no way to change it. I hope you can understand a very important thing, that is, everything I do now is for the peace of this world, but with you have nothing to do with me. If you really want to make some contribution, let me contribute this land to you. 17. The mysterious man laughed. Is this man dreaming here? How could he do such things? You don't need to think about these things here, some are gone, I can't do such a thing, you hurry up and leave now, maybe you can still be alive. Zhang Yang laughed out loud. He really should leave now and go back, because the time he agreed with Lord where he has arrived. Will find excuses to perfunctory themselves. I will leave here now, but you can rest assured that I will definitely come back, because your place already belongs to me, I have already set my sights on this place, and one day, he will definitely belong to me. Zhang Yang. When Zhang Yang said these words, he was very confident. After all, he had so much strength. If he didn't get the right to use a territory, his ability would increase. So Zhang Yang very much hopes that one day he will be able to take all the territories in the world into his own. Only in this way will his own ability become stronger and stronger. Although I don't know what you guys are going to do, but let me tell you, if you leave now, you don't have to think about coming in again, because it is impossible for me to let you in again. Don't think that you are used to being an aggressor, you can do whatever you want, it's impossible. After the mysterious man said this, he saw that they had already left, but for some reason, Zhang Yang was not angry at all, as if it was on purpose. But the mysterious man immediately started to take precautions. He had to make a lot of traps so that he couldn't bring them in. Only in this way would he have some balance in his heart and feel more at ease. But here I am the only one who is mysterious. If a person wants to make a certain achievement, he must devote time and all his energy. Every time he thinks like this, the mysterious person feels very helpless, but now he has no other choice but to persevere, because only in this way can he win. I have to succeed now. After thinking like this, he immediately started to fight. After all, his current ability is very strong. If he directly confronts Lord were he, AHCF, he still has certainty of victory, but he dare not gamble. Since I only have one chance, how can I gamble? Thinking like this, I persevered. I had to dig out everything here, so that I could have the courage to do other things. When I think this way, I am still very helpless, but there is no way, I have to do such a thing. If I don't do it, I will regret it for the rest of my life. Although I don't know why he came to invade my territory, I will definitely protect all of you at the scene. It doesn't matter if you can't speak. You can feel at ease when I'm here. There are times when Zhang Yang is really annoying because he is an aggressor. But Zhang Yang also has his own difficulties, because no one understands him, so every time he invades a territory, only he can enjoy this happiness alone in the future. But there is no way. After all, this is his own choice. It is very convenient to know that the occupied land is managed by one person, and the operation is also very simple, but they don't seem to understand such a thing. Always thought I was doing something wrong. This is also a very helpless thing, and I have nothing to say. Although I don't know what to say, but now I am very helpless. After Zhang Yang came back quickly, he came to Lord Werhe's place and found Lord Werhe standing there, as if welcoming him. He was very curious, so he hurried up and asked him what he was doing here. Did he know? Do you want to come over by yourself? When he was within 2 steps of approaching Lord Werhe, he suddenly called out to stop himself. What are you doing? What does my coming to this place have to do with you? This place is mine. I tell you not to try to change my patience here. It's impossible. You can hurry up and leave now, maybe you can still get well, said. Lord Werhe laughed loudly. He was always a person who liked to play tricks, but now it was time for him to show his abilities. How could he not play tricks? Can you stop talking? Because this place belongs to me now. It's useless for you to say so much. I'll warn you one last time. This place already belongs to me. Hurry up and do what you want to do now. When I heard him say that, I shook my head, really helpless. I can't tell you anything else now, but I can warn you that if you say something like this again, I will really get angry. Don't blame me for being rude. Chapter 245, Denial. Zhang Yang's patience has gradually faded away. Lord, were he actually released his pigeons at this time. It is really abominable. I have no way to tolerate it. I must give him a punishment. I'll ask you one last time, do you still want to do what you promised me? If you don't want to do it, you can explain it to me directly. Don't worry, as long as you say it, I will definitely not say anything else. Lord, were he laughed, of course he will not do it again. This territory belongs to him forever, and he has made it clear to the grass and trees here that they will support him no matter what. Lord, were he shook his head very seriously, and said to him very arrogantly, you think too much, I can't agree to it, and it's impossible for you to give up on this matter just because you said a few words. This is impossible, you are like dreaming. Let me tell you one last time, this place belongs to me, hurry up now, get out of here. Lord, were he smiled, although he had already guessed that such a result would happen, but he did not expect him to be so insidious and cunning. But what can I do? I gave him this chance, he chose to rebel, and I can only bear such a wish. I really didn't expect you to do such a thing. To be honest, I feel very helpless in my heart, but since you have already done it, then I have nothing to say. From today onwards, you and I will have no ties. Whatever you do now, I won't be mad at one thing, but I'll make you pay for what you have. After Zhang Yang said so, he let the Dark Emperor come out first, and the two of them went to deal with this man together. The Dark Emperor just came to the front, saw the two of them confronting each other here. He laughed. He had already guessed such a result, but Lord, were he actually softened his heart and thought it was impossible. How could a man like him not do such a thing? You can tell at a glance that he is not a good person, and he doesn't like to take promises to heart. What's wrong? Now that he's starting to regret it, you just found me out. Do you think it's too late? I told you from the beginning, don't believe what this man said, but why didn't you listen to me? What about it? Do you regret it now? Of course it's not regret, it's just that this territory has long belonged to him, so what is there to regret? It's just that he didn't expect that as a man, he could do such a bad job. Okay, don't say any more. This territory officially belongs to me from today onwards. I didn't say anything else. I will let you know what real regret is today, and I will also let you know that to be a human being, you still have to promise. Originally Lord were he wanted to have a good talk with Zhang Yang when he came, but he didn't expect that after seeing Zhang Yang's face, he would have no way to calm down. What qualifications do you have? Tell me these words here. I tell you, you are the most unqualified person. Hurry up and get out of here now. This field belongs to me. What qualifications do you have to not let me go? I do it. I laughed out loud when I heard him say that. Are you kidding yourself? Although the Lord of Were he has no weapons, he has a whole body of skills. Don't think that after I lose my weapon, I'm like a useless person. It's impossible. I'll tell you one last time. I'm very powerful. Don't believe me. Today I'll let you know what is true regret. When I heard what he said, I laughed out loud. I was just joking here, and what I did had nothing to do with them. Lord were he, I will warn you one last time. Of course, I will launch my attack after I warn you, and I will make you unable to escape. Lord were he actually knew that he was very powerful, but he had no choice. He was willing to sacrifice his entire life for his own territory. This was his mission. You have your mission, you have your responsibility, but it has nothing to do with me. I must guard this place, because this is my mission, this is my responsibility for existence. I hope you can understand. Quote. Zhang Yang invaded many places, and heard many lords say such things, but he never took it to heart. Seeing him being so aggressive, when he said such words, he was indeed a little moved. 0. Seeking flowers. But there is no way, because I have already scolded them, this place must belong to them. To be honest, when you said that, I was really touched, but your unreasonable appearance is really disgusting. Your eating behavior is too ugly, and I can't stand it, so you must accept sanctions now. Lord were he laughed out loud when he heard this. Don't he know who is ugly? Who is ugly? What qualifications do you have to say these things here? You must know that this territory originally belonged to me. If it wasn't because of your sudden intrusion, what would have happened? Nothing is calm. Although what Lord were he said was indeed true, there was no way around it, because Zhang Yang's task was to invade, and only in this way could he survive and led them to open up a new world. Lord were he suddenly emitted a dazzling light at this time. Lord were he knew in his heart that he wanted to kill himself, but what can this do? At this moment, the surrounding trees shook their leaves. No one knew what happened and why there was such a big change all of a sudden. But everyone's character is dimmed, and they want to see what good show will be staged next. It may also be that you are all curious about what will happen next, so you can feel now, what is different in the air now. I believe that after the two of you feel, there will definitely be a big one change. It was only at this time that the boyfriend discovered that there were some poisonous substances in it. These trees emitted it. Could it be that he really wanted to kill himself? You are too despicable to use such a method. You know that once the main body of these trees is released, they will not be able to survive in the future. Of course he knew, but what can he do? Chapter 246 Must Die. In order to protect this place, I can only reach an agreement with them, but I also believe that after leaving them offspring, one day they will be able to prosper. This is my business. It has nothing to do with you. You just need to know that if you inhale this gas, you will not be able to live without an antidote. I will give you away. If you choose to leave, then I will give you the antidote, but if you choose to stay, then you will die here, and I will not soften my heart. Lord were he is such a person, as long as he can achieve his goal, other things are easy to talk about, and there is nothing else to consider, so he shook his head. But Zhang Yang is also a very stubborn person, how could he listen to what they said? If you really want to kill me, it's not impossible in 993, but let me tell you, after I die, you must be the one who regrets the most. I shook my head, because it is impossible for Lord were he to regret it, because he has hurt many people, how could he regret it? Is this a joke? Okay. You don't have to say any more, I can't regret it, I'll tell you one last time, if you choose to leave now, then I won't say anything, but if you don't leave, you will die here, because you're feeling dizzy right now. This is indeed the case, I already have such a feeling now, and the Black Emperor's skill is completely useless at this time, I can only wait here to die. You are really mean, I really didn't expect you to use such a thing, so what? Lord were he heard that he could say these questions so easily at such a critical time, he was also very funny and then shook his head. So the matter is very simple, that is, you have to die here, no matter what, you will definitely die, and now I am sending you away with a smile, won't you be very moved? I still believe that Zhang Yang has a treasure to protect his body, so he will not die. I have this ability. Do you think I will die here? This is impossible, let me tell you one last time. If I die, you must not be able to live, because there are many things we are a community, so you must ensure that I live, so that you can obtain other things. It was impossible for Lord Erho to hear anything from him anymore. Shut up, do you think I'll believe anything you say? It's impossible. If I'm thinking about you, I'm the biggest fool in the world. You're waiting here now. It's enough to die, and you don't need to worry about other things. When I heard him say that, I laughed out loud. Zhang Yang really has never seen such a stupid person. To be honest, I have never seen a person as stupid as you. Now I am really surprised, but it is also very good. Since you can be so stupid, it proves that you can't understand many things at all, so I would like to believe in a very important one. While saying this, Zhang Yang deliberately stopped talking, because he knew that if he heard it, he would definitely ask himself what he wanted to hear next, so he couldn't continue talking now. But the Lord of Were he was very anxious, what on earth was this man going to say? He was about to die, and he still didn't say everything, such a person is the most annoying. If you want to say anything, you can just say it directly. Do you still hold back here? Do you want to be taken to hell before you speak out? Zhang Yang smiled, the man was still as anxious as ever. Do you think I'll tell you? It's impossible for me to tell you anything, unless you beg me on your knees now, and you know I'm going to die soon, if you kneel down, it's not shameful to ask me, and I'll tell you everything, so you can think about it for yourself. The Lord of Were he just passed by without even thinking about it. What can he do if he knelt down and begged him? What I have to do now is to occupy the position of Zhang Yang and become the overlord of the generation. This is what you said, as long as I kneel down and beg you, you will tell me everything. Zhang Yang nodded seriously, he didn't joke with him, and he won't die either. Of course what you said and what I said are not the same concept. I will definitely do what I promise. I'm not you and I won't play tricks. I really didn't expect that Zhang Yang would make such a big concession one day. Although I don't know why you would do such a thing, I still kneel down and beg you willingly, don't forget what you promised me. Zhang Yang nodded immediately, but at the moment Lord where he knelt down, he knocked him down in an instant, and the two wrestled together in an instant, but there was no way for Zhang Yang to win in the end. You despicable person, didn't you just say that? As long as I kneel down and beg you, you will tell me everything. Why do you come here to hurt me? You are simply too despicable, since treat me with such gestures. When I heard what he said, I laughed out loud. Lord were he probably forgot that he didn't do what he promised. Can you stop joking here, have you forgotten what you promised me? After Zhang Yang said this, he was very angry. These men simply like to make trouble for no reason, and he doesn't know how he can survive until now. Even if I deceived you, so what? You can't deceive me either. Don't you know that being a human being requires honesty 5.0? You can't even do this, and you are really ashamed. When I heard Lord were he say this, I laughed out loud. This is simply a joke. Who is ashamed of it? Okay, don't say it anymore. After you say these words, it makes people very funny. Let me tell you one last time, do you want to give me this territory? If you give it to me, I can let you go, but if you don't give it to me, you must die here. Lord were he has the same stubbornness as Lord were he like Zhang Yang. Don't worry, even if I die here today, I can't give you the territory, so give up. Zhang Yang nodded, since this person does not shed tears when he sees the coffin, what else can he say? It's all your own choice, but don't blame me. Chapter 247 Self-Chosen. Zhang Yang has already thought it through. Since he didn't want to say anything, there was nothing he could do about it. After all, he was responsible for all of this, so what else could he choose? When thinking like this, he nodded immediately. Anyway, he had no other choice now, so he warned the man in front of him once, if he chooses to leave now, then he can act as if nothing happened. But if he doesn't choose this way, there is nothing he can do, because he also has a lot of things to explain. You don't need to talk nonsense anymore. I'll tell you one last time. If you want to get the right to use the territory from me, it's impossible. It's also impossible for me to leave here on my own initiative. I advise you to do it yourself. Quote. After saying these words, he stubbornly waited here, but what kind of person is Zhang Yang? How could you be afraid of this? When thinking like this, I feel very helpless. I have warned you before, but why don't you take what I said to 07's heart? In this case, don't blame me for being rude. I thought about treating you well before, but now you don't deserve such treatment. When Zhang Yang said this, he immediately used his weapon and quickly swung it to the other side. He probably didn't think that Zhang Yang would really hurt him, and he was still very angry. He had no choice but to find a way to leave now. You are simply too cruel to treat me in such a way. You clearly know that if such a weapon is used, both of us will die miserably in the future. Why are you still talking? The reason why Zhang Yang decided to use this weapon in the end was because he was too much. If it wasn't because of his inconsistency, how could he have done everything so absolutely? I can't blame myself, only myself. Still always felt that he was never too much, because if he didn't provoke him, he would never do such a thing. The right to use this territory is actually the same to anyone, but it is more useful in your own hands. Do you want to repent now? I'm afraid it's impossible. I want to tell you one last time. If you don't leave now, you will die here next. Don't tell me, you didn't follow you warned. Of course he knows that if he doesn't leave, he will definitely die here, but what can he do if he dies here? It is also very good to contribute his body to this territory. The moment Zhang Yang swung the weapon in his hand, it instantly glowed with colorful Madara colors, and at the same time he completely disappeared, as if such a person had never appeared before. Such a situation is still very scary. After all, no one has thought of a living person. How can there be no one? This is really terrible, but I don't know what to do now, and I am very helpless. After thinking about it, I said to my weapon, I don't know what you are thinking, but there is one thing I want to do. I have to make it clear to you, that is, if you are doing these things in the future, you must tell me that I obviously didn't let you use your strength just now. Why did you suddenly kill him? You know it's very important for you to do this, is it too much? Of course the Black Emperor knew, although he didn't get his permission, but he was not happy seeing that man, why he can say yes and no one can do it, and no one can do it. It's just so selfish. You don't have to say it anymore. I never feel that I have done anything wrong. Let me tell you one last time. There are many things that are not what you think. If you continue to say this, there is really no way to say it now, let me tell you again. One thing, that is, if you are so weak again, then I will not continue to follow you. Although Zhang Yang didn't know why he lost his temper so suddenly, he still endured it. After all, this piece of territory already belongs to him, and the next step is to call his brothers and ask them to hurry up and install defense facilities on this piece of land. Only in this way can he fully own the right to use this piece of land. Maybe the tone of my words just now was a little impulsive, and I hope you won't be angry, but you also know that it's really too much for you to say something like this in the future. Please think about it for me. Zhang Yang really rarely apologizes on his own initiative, but he has no choice but to apologize for what he did wrong this time. You don't need to say it. I don't mean to blame you. I just hope that you will consider other people's feelings when you do other things in the future. Don't you still have family things to do? Then do it. Don't worry about me, I'm going back soon. In fact, Zhang Yang really didn't know what to do. After all, he hadn't touched these things for a long time. I finally conquered a territory, but now I don't know where to start. Do I want to continue to open up new territories? Is this not good? For a while, Zhang Yang didn't know where to start, so he planned to call the 053 people around him to ask about it, but found that the other party had shut down his phone, and he didn't know what happened. It's very boring when I stay here alone. I don't know what to do. It seems that I haven't been alone like this for a long time, and to be honest, I am still very flustered. It's like sometimes, once a person stops, he doesn't know what to do, and his heart is very empty. This is the first time I have nothing to do. To be honest, I was never like this before. Today is the first time I feel such helplessness. When thinking like this, I have nothing else to do, I can only wait here for a while, and talk about other things later. Every time I think like this, I feel very helpless, more embarrassing, because I don't know what to do, but I can't think so much by myself, and I can't do anything. It's better not to think about anything. Now I have more important things to do, that is, there are many creatures in this territory. I need to absorb all the spiritual energy in these creatures. Only in this way will my body make great progress and my weapons will become more and more powerful. This is my real purpose. Chapter 248 Another Way. Zhang Yang now has no other choice but to persevere. It is also possible that other creatures will choose to come and hurt themselves at this time, but there is no way. Because all of this is one's own choice, even if someone wants to hurt themselves, they will use the same method to fight back. I didn't expect you to be here alone. Don't forget that you have hurt us. To us, your hatred is very great. You are embarrassed to be here by yourself now. Just when Zhang Yang was hiding alone, a person suddenly ran over from another place. I have never known this person before. Who is this? Why do you suddenly scold yourself like this? Hi sir, although I don't know you, I don't know why you suddenly said that. We know there must be a reason. I want to ask one thing now, what is the reason? He wants you to make it clear. This man looked very ferocious, but Zhang Yang had no idea when he had provoked him. In my impression, it seems that I have never known such a person, and I don't know such a lord, am I wrong? You don't have to think so much. I really didn't expect you to mess around here today. I never wanted to see it. I have never seen any of your races. Why did you come here to question me? I'm not angry now, you can still leave you, don't make trouble for yourself. Although that's what they said, it's really very troublesome when they realize it and do it, and it's impossible to do it at all. I don't know what this person is doing, what is his purpose? If you really have a purpose, just say it directly. Zhang Yang will definitely be satisfied, and he thought of a way, so that the change will not be the same as it is now. It is very difficult to know nothing. You may feel that you don't need to tell me anything, you can know it well, but there is one thing I have to tell you, that is, no matter what. You have to tell me why you came to hurt me. If you can't say it, then you will bear my wrath. It may be because too many things have happened recently, which makes me feel very irritable now. So my temper is not very good in many things. When someone comes to provoke me, I hope to have a real fight with him. Only in this way can we vent our anger. The reason why you are so angry and irritable here is because you don't know what we are thinking at all. You are always ruthlessly plundering other people's territories and destroying other people's homes. You will get retribution now. You don't want I always feel like it's all about peace of mind. Zhang Yang felt that what he did had nothing to do with him, and he didn't need them to come and give advice, and he didn't need to talk so much with them. There is no need for them to come and interfere with their own thoughts. If you think you don't need to come and talk to me now, then stop talking. I don't think there is any need between the two of us. There is nothing to say. Just do what you want now. If you can say it clearly if you want me to be me, and come directly. I believe I can meet your anger. Zhang Yang really doesn't want to talk so much nonsense with this kind of nonsense, it's a waste of his time, he is already invading territory, they all know it, why come here to talk so much nonsense to him now? If you have so many opinions on me, you can say it directly and clearly, and you won't become what you are today. Who are you? I don't know if you are that mysterious person. If it is true, then the two of us may have some grievances to cut off. The man in front of him is actually very ugly, and he had a very poor apprentice before. Do you think that Zhang Yang suddenly appeared and his only wealth was plundered by Zhang Yang? It was because of this that I lost my only home, but there was nothing I could do about it. It was too painful to lose this home. One day, I will get all of this back, and now that day has finally come, I must make a break with him. I only heard the man say with disdain on his face, why do you think that what you say now will make me feel very happy? You are simply making trouble here, and I will warn you one last time. If you forget, what did you say to me before? The things I have done, then you should stop saying these things. I have to say that Zhang Yang has indeed forgotten a lot of things, but there is no way he can remember it now, so he has to think about another thing. When I said this, I frowned tightly, I had to make a change, and I absolutely couldn't continue like this. Of course, I feel that this situation is very unfavorable now, because the sky is suddenly covered with dark clouds, and it seems that there will be a heavy rainstorm, which was not the case before. Although the weather is said to change very quickly, it does not mean that there is a sudden heavy rain, and then can this person still control the weather? It was simply impossible to think of it this way. How could he make trouble for no reason when he was on his own territory? I don't care what you want to do, but I can tell you clearly, if you continue like this, I will definitely let you die miserably. Don't think that I am joking with you. This is impossible. This is my sight, please hurry up and leave me right. I only saw this ugly man with a disdainful smile, how could I leave here? This is an opportunity I finally waited for, and I must kill Zhang Yang, yes, so that I can be free wish. I think you are still very funny. What does what I want to do have anything to do with you? From today onwards, I have nothing to do with you. I only have one task now, which is to kill you. Other things it has nothing to do with me, you just wait to die now. Zhang Yang laughed out loud when he mentioned this man's arrogant tone. He really didn't expect that there are so many people who want to kill him in this world, and this person in front of him can be counted as one. Big, can it hurt your sub-unit? Just kidding here, it is impossible for me to do such a thing. Let me warn you once again, you can't hurt me a single point, you hurry up and get out of here, I can pretend that nothing happened, if you don't, then regret it. Chapter 249 Combat. Zhang Yang has never been the kind of person who takes the initiative to hurt others, but this person has come here to hurt himself without any hesitation, so he can't blame himself for being polite, and he is not an idiot, how could he tolerate others over and over again hurt yourself? This burly man, even if he wanted to seek revenge from Zhang Yang because he hurt his family and caused his family to lose their habitat and eventually died, if it wasn't for the fact that he was rescued by a nobleman, he might have died a long time ago if he fell, and he was able to survive, he must seek revenge from him. But Zhang Yang couldn't figure out that he had never given a gift before, why would he do this? Then he shook his head and asked him what he was going to do. I have never done anything harmful to nature. Even if I hurt your family, then I did it unintentionally. Why do you want to blame all your mistakes on my head? The reason why Zhang Liang said this was because he had retrieved all the information about the territory that had been invaded before, but he could not find any relevant information about this man, so there was only one thing, someone pretending to be himself. If this is the case, then this matter is very serious, and I will definitely investigate it. When I said the words, I only saw the man smiled in disdain. She really likes to make 380 jokes. It is really shameless to say such words, and there is nothing she can do. You are really the most shameless of all the aggressors I have ever seen. I really don't know what to say to you. But this is also good. Your shamelessness proves one more thing, so let's prove it. You did everything, but don't worry, as long as I am here, even if I risk my life, I will seek revenge from you. After the ugly man finished speaking, he immediately began to use the power in his body, although Zhang Yang didn't know how powerful he was. But when I saw this, I could vaguely feel that he still had something, and I was never afraid. This time is the same. Do you think that you can hurt me with all your flair? You're just joking here. I'm telling you for the last time. If you tell me what happened before, maybe I can help you investigate the real murderer. Who is it? But if you just blindly believe that it is me, then AHCG, there is nothing I can do. Zhang Yang went to Qingshan to go to many territories, and he has recorded them all. He will never invade the territories for nothing, and he will not care about them in the future. Moreover, there are people guarding every territory now, and he only needs to investigate to find out what happened with these. Why didn't this ugly man tell himself anything? There must be something tricky. Do you think I can forgive you if you do this? That's impossible, so what if you find out the real murderer? If it weren't for you bringing everyone over there, we wouldn't be able to suffer the harm as that our place is really poor, but what can we do? If you go to help us, we can't die. If Zhang Yang didn't know what happened after hearing this, he would be so stupid, he finally understood. What exactly happened? He would blame himself like this, but he didn't invade their territory, is this also his fault? I really don't know what to say to you. Now I have nothing to say. If you really think it's all my fault, then I can't say anything, but I want to tell you that if you let go of the real murderer like this, then you will regret it for the rest of your life, and you will die here immediately. If you don't believe me, you can try it. There is also a reason for Zhang Yang to say this, no matter whoever wants to come and hurt himself, it is impossible, so this time is the same. If he really wanted to hurt himself, it would be like a dream, it would be impossible, and it would be as difficult as heaven. At this time, a large number of people came to support this ugly man. To be honest, Zhang Yang didn't know any of them, as if they came here in groups and wanted to kill him. I couldn't help thinking, what kind of outrageous thing did I do to make them form a team to kill me? I really can't figure it out. What did I do to make you say that? Now I have nothing to say. Since you choose this way, I can only fight now. But you think about it, this is what you forced me to do, and if you didn't do this, I wouldn't be able to make a decision that would hurt you. Zhang Yang is a very principled person. Once he decides on something, he will definitely do it, but he will never hurt others, and he will never infringe on other people's personal interests unless they take the initiative to provoke themselves, like this time. I only saw a very ugly man with a scar on his face in front of him, holding a long knife in his hand and saying to himself, a hypocritical man like you, even if you die 1,000 times, it is not too much, let me tell you, today is your memorial day, you can try it, don't always feel how capable you are. When I saw them talking like this, I smiled, I really didn't expect them to be able to talk like this. But this is also good, I don't have any psychological burden now, I can just do whatever I want, and what they want to do has nothing to do with me. I really don't understand what you guys are thinking, but it's the same now. What you are going to do has nothing to do with me. If you want to kill me, you can come here as long as you have the ability. If you feel incapable, hurry up and get out of here. When Zhang Yang said these words, he was smiling on the surface, but in fact he was very cold inside. After all, once such a thing happens, the consequences will be very serious, no one can stop themselves, and it is very serious for them to want to hurt themselves. Zhang Yang is definitely not a person who can be bullied, so if they want to come and hurt themselves, they must be punished as they should. Even taking the lead is impossible. Chapter 250 Challenge. When Zhang Yang thought this way, he had already made a decision in his heart, whoever came to hurt himself, it was like a dream, and it was impossible for anyone. And now that I have important things to do, what else can I consider? I just need to stick to my own thoughts. If you are stubborn and want to kill me, then I will not give you this chance. Now I will tell you one last time, do you want to persevere? If you don't, then don't blame me for being rude. I'm telling you, it's impossible for you to kill me, and I've never done anything outrageous. Zhang Yang really couldn't figure out what he had done to let them come together to hurt him, and when he thought about it, he felt very angry. But there is no way, I feel very angry when I think about it this way, why should they come here to hurt themselves, and it is normal for them to occupy the forest land by themselves. At this moment, the Black Emperor suddenly appeared. The reason why the Black Emperor appeared at this time was to protect this stupid man in front of him. How could he feel that he was so powerful? He had been beaten by this group of people. Did you think too much? Do you think you can beat them? Let me tell you, they are a group of people, but they are very powerful. This is beyond your imagination, so don't worry about other things. You listen to me now. Just let me protect you. This is the first time Zhang Yang heard the Black Emperor talking to him like this, and he was still a little moved. He didn't know what to say. Why did he suddenly have to protect himself? It's like protecting a girlfriend with a boyfriend. Still, very satisfied. Just when Zhang Yang was dreaming, he couldn't help but said, don't think too much, I just don't want you to die so ugly, and you are so stupid, such a thing. You are actually very moved by the matter. Let me tell you, you go and wait by the side now, and after I have settled all this, I will explain to you what happened. It really doesn't feel good to be hit in the head, but there is no other way. Zhang Yang just came to the other side to carefully recall what happened, but found that he didn't have any impression in his mind. What happened? Thing. Why all of a sudden, become so vague and strange? On the other side, seeing the Hey Emperor looking at them very indifferently, a group of people would definitely not know the Hey Emperor, but the Hey Emperor knew them. Don't worry about something. Why come here to interfere in our world? I tell you to hurry up and get out. It has nothing to do with you. Be careful if I accidentally kill you. Don't blame me. Of course the Black Emperor wouldn't blame them. After all of this was his own choice. Of course Zhang Yang didn't know, because he kept it from him. If you really want revenge, just come and find me. I am the real murderer behind the scenes. Maybe you don't believe it, but there is no way. Because your IQ really can't find me, I can only come out by myself. But at this time, Zhang Yang could no longer hear what they were saying, because the multi-protection function was turned on, so he couldn't hear what happened outside. Everyone is curious, what are they talking about? Don't feel helpless about all of this. Let me tell you, if you want to make trouble here, you must pass me. You should also know that I can shine brightly. If you are not afraid of your eyes, if you are blind, you can continue to look here. If you are afraid, just turn it on to me. Don't think that you are very powerful, you can make trouble here without reason. What are you talking about here? Just because you still want to hurt us, it's just a dream, we tell you, it's impossible. So at this time, the tone was changed immediately. At that time, a leader couldn't help thinking, let the two of them be together. What if you kill one of them? And they're both damned, because one's a man's weapon. It's not a pity to die. You guys are really funny. I never thought that you would become what you are today. We just hurt you at the time, but you couldn't bear it, and you chose to perish, but in the end it's really funny to blame all this on us. Aren't you afraid of others' jokes when you say it? 0. Ask for flowers. The leader was very angry, and no one could say that they couldn't bear it, and even so they couldn't help but say it. Do you really think you are a character? I tell you that this is impossible. If you talk like this again, I will definitely let you die. Not enough. I will tell you one last time, hurry up and get out of here, don't waste your time here. They are very angry. How can a weapon have the right to be arrogant here? They don't have the right, so they don't believe it at all. You are so funny, you even set up some nonsense here. I will tell you one last time, all of this is your own choice, I have nothing to say. What I want to tell you is very simple, you hurry up and leave now, or I will definitely kill you. When the Black Emperor said this, he exuded a very feminine aura. As long as he felt it, he would feel horrified. This person is really terrible. Do you think we will be afraid if you do this? I tell you that this is impossible. Even if you kill us, I will not be afraid. Come and kill us now if you have the ability, don't be afraid here shrunken, making people look down upon. Of course I would do this, and I have not thought about such a thing once or twice, and I laughed when I thought about it. And it exuded a cold aura, which made them all feel very terrible. Several of them already felt their legs were weak, and they couldn't continue to hold on. Boss, what the hell is this? Why does he smile so horribly, like creepy, very gloomy? Should we leave here now, and come back after discussing the countermeasures when we go back? This is really terrible, we're all terrified. Stop for me, no one can leave here without my consent. I tell you to just leave. Wait for death, little boy.